We're now live. Okay then, well, thank you very much for everyone attending, and it's our first meeting together around this table, and it's quite nice to be back, isn't it? Back in a room, seeing real people at a real meeting, making real decisions in real time, which is a privilege. Nevertheless, I'm sure we'll have a good discussion tonight about the agenda, which is what we're here for. Well, I'll kick off with apologies for absence. Have we, apologies for absence. Have we got any?
Apologies from Councillor Regina Ahmed and also from the Deputy Town Clerk.
Okay. Declarations of interests.
Chairman.
Okay, in which case I'll go to a public session because I've just missed
just
it.
to declare I'm a member of the Twinning Association.
Yeah, that's a personal pecuniary, not a prejudicial, isn't it?
No. So I don't need to declare.
So if we allow a member of the public to come into the public session, we'll do that now.
Okay.
What's the Wi-Fi?
He's got the code down there. I'll pass that over.
It's like 1984, isn't it?
we can't hear you, Mary.
You're on mute, Mary.
I
No,
should be.
you're there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, lovely.
Is that loud enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can see me okay on the screen and I'm not too huge. I'm very large on my screen.
No, it's like Big Brother.
But yes, thank you for letting me speak today and for setting up this wonderful technology so that I can do it from home rather than joining you in the chamber. Although it does look very nice there. I'm sure you're all glad to be back. I know that underlying all your events that you'll be talking about tonight and previously and subsequently is your support and commitment to the Council's Climate Emergency Action Plan. I think it's later on the agenda. And I wanted to take this opportunity to let you all know that there is a number of events taking place in a few weeks' time under the banner of Great Big Green Week. As we are a fair trade town and the Fair Trade Foundation is a participating organisation in the Climate Coalition, which are the people behind this initiative, I thought it was appropriate to bring it to your attention. Described in their publicity, the Great Big Green Week will be the largest event for climate and nature ever seen in the UK. There'll be hundreds of events which will celebrate how communities are taking action to tackle climate change and protect green spaces, as well as calling on all politicians to raise their ambitions and champion action on climate change. The decisions and commitments made at the G7 meeting earlier this year were, at best, lukewarm. However, we in the UK have another huge opportunity for our government to lead the way on plans for tackling climate change at home and encourage significant global action. This opportunity is in Glasgow this November when the UK is hosting the major UN climate summit known as COP26. The Great Big Green Week is trying to set the stage for the most ambitious climate summit ever by showing decision makers that people from all walks of life are stepping up to take action. And we need them to step up too. Events are taking place locally, as well as across Buckinghamshire, and in fact, the whole of the UK. And details of the nearest events can be found on the Great Big Green Week website, which I think Nina has already looked at. And there's more being added all the time. There are many businesses and organisations and individuals in our town who are concerned about the effect of climate change, as well as the need for climate justice, which is where the fair trade comes in, who I'm sure appreciate your support for this cause. Thank you again for letting me highlight this week of events.
Thank you very much. We're going to respond. We don't normally respond, but I believe Nina's got some information about what we're doing. I'll allow Nina to respond to, so that you know that we're not actually flat-footed on this. Nina?
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Mary, for bringing it to our attention today. It's a really interesting campaign, and not one that, as a town council, we've come across before. Obviously, we've been quite active with other national environmental campaigns that have been spearheaded by sort of Keep Britain Tidy and Plant Life. So this is definitely one that we could add to our social media schedule for the next year. We do have a river rinse, the first river rinse, which falls nicely in the Great Big Green Week. So I think what we could do is tie in some promotion of the scheme within our river rinse promotion, and signpost to events that are taking place in your local area, Buckingham, and to make sure that other local initiatives are brought into the fold as well.
Well, thank you very much, Nina. Just from my own point of view, Amanda works on lots of events for us, and we will be out there on that weekend doing the river rinse, which is not next weekend, the weekend after next. It's made such a huge contribution to our environment over the years. It was started by Trevor Pateman and Councillor Ruth Newell when they were councillors in our council, and it was only this weekend we saw Councillor Ruth Newell receive due honours for her service, which was a pleasure to see. We will be doing something. We will talk in the office, and if there's anything additional that Amanda or the councillors come forward with, if it's possible to fit it in, we will do it. And of course, one thing which Nina didn't mention, we've already done the scheme in the park where we lay out pickers and things for people to volunteer to pick up rubbish. And were trying to organise litter picks, but that didn't take place for various reasons because of COVID. But we have a mind to do well, and all the councillors are focused on this, you can be assured. I hope that gives you reassurance.
Yes, thank you very much. I do appreciate all the work you've been doing and are going to be doing in your plans for the future.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move back to the agenda. You're welcome to stay with us all evening, and we'll be pleased to have you. But of course, we won't be referring to you.
I think I might move off Zoom and on to watch you on YouTube, if I may.
Oh, well, give us a blow-by-blow account later then. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for taking the time to attend. We are very grateful. Committee, we'll move on to item 3, which is minutes. They were circulated before. If there's any concerns about those minutes, say now. If not, can we agree them in block? Mm-hmm. Are members happy to agree them?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, so they're agreed. Thank you very much. Action list, which is on most of the things on the action list is on the agenda. Is there anything on that action list which members wish to discuss, bring to my attention, or bring more importantly to the officer's attention? Councillor Margaret Gately.
Thank you. Yes, the penultimate section, promenade. There was some correspondence earlier in the year with a representative from Stowe, and then I didn't hear anything until earlier today, and he's now proposing September the 24th. Which seems very short notice. I'm not available on September the 24th, but the town clerk did indicate that we could publicise it in some way. It's just odd. I'm wondering whether emails from him disappeared down the same black hole as some other emails have been going. But
how do members feel that? I mean, if you look at it, it's the multicultural celebration evening you're talking about. The last one.
No.
Which one is it?
The one before that.
The one before. Oh, the parade. Promenade. Yes, a posh word, isn't it? I believe that's something that we were talking about doing some time back. So how do members feel about that? Is there any members can be, as the mayor obviously is very busy, is there any members of the committee can make themselves available to represent the council?
Deputy Mayor not free.
He's not here to ask.
This only came about this afternoon.
So he's not here to ask.
Okay.
So, and we need to make a decision. So I'm not going to ring him. So if there's any members of the committee wish to be available, please make yourself known. We'll obviously notify the Deputy Mayor. and his availability, but he won't have it in his diary. I'll go to Ryan, I'll come back to.
I'm unfortunately away that week from the Friday to the Wednesday, so unfortunately I can't attend. I wish it all goes well.
Right, Amanda.
What will my involvement be in this?
I haven't got a clue, to be frank honest, because it's on the action list. There was no update come to me, no further information. They obviously were communicating directly with the mayor, and as Margaret rightly said, she's had trouble with her emails. So,
If you I don't have a great memory, but John Harvey, when he was mayor, initiated
That's
a walk
correct.
from Buckingham along Stowe Avenue to
Yeah.
Stowe. I think it was in conjunction with the National Trust.
Yeah.
And that was very successful, I believe. I wasn't able to go on that occasion either. And then I'm not sure where the suggestion came from, but probably earlier this year, that they do a similar one that's starting from Stowe and towards Buckingham. And I think it's a lovely idea, I really do. Then I'm sure I responded to the emails at the time, and then nothing came back. And with COVID, it's been exceptionally difficult to plan events, hasn't it? I mean, Amanda knows.
So
I suppose I just assumed that something might happen next year.
So
And I didn't make further inquiries, and maybe I should have followed it up. I didn't.
well, it does say mayoral stuff on it, but that's not the point, Margaret. You've had your emails out. September, October is quite a busy period for this committee, in the sense that Lisa will be doing Local Democracy Week. Andy and I will be bringing the fair in. Amanda will be quite busy. So can we have a communication after the meeting? People look at their diaries and come back. Even the town clerk will be doing all this, and the town crier is with us tonight. He's busy as well. So Lisa.
And can I suggest that we do go out to Deputy Mayor to
We agree
check
we'll do
his
that.
diary?
Yeah, we'll do that anyway.
Yeah, good.
But he's not here. He
No,
can't
no,
step in,
you've already said that's fine. I'm just thinking out of like protocol. Yeah.
Oh, I know what protocol is. Yeah,
I know, I just think it.
yeah, we'll send that to. That's fine, and we'll move on to next item. Has anybody's got any other concerns on the action list? Most of the things on there are covered within the agenda, I believe. So, if members are happy with that, we'll move on to community partnership, which is a big item on the agenda, because we'd like to co-opt Dean, who's an excellent man, onto our committee to support us.
So just to clarify, the proposal is to co-opt a representative of the university, who at this point would be Dean, but obviously the university would provide whoever's appropriate at the time, just in case Dean's busy doing something else.
Yeah. Are we, firstly, are you happy? I know you're here, Dean, but are you happy to be a representative and the university happy with this?
Yeah, I think it's a really good step for the university to be part of a committee like this, because when you're having conversations, it automatically involves us, and we feel involved, and we can maybe enhance whatever you're doing just through that extra involvement. So yes, very happy. I think it's worth really iterating what Paul mentioned about me personally. I think it's important that it's listed as a university representation, because that gives it some long-term sustainability.
Thank you. In which case,
Do we need a proposal?
well, I'm going to propose that we take this action forward, and I think ladies first. I'll take Councillor Fran Davis is seconding it. Can we have a vote on that so it's minuted?
That's unanimous.
That's unanimous. Well, Dean, welcome to this small, perfectly formed team of people who put on with officers a very large event schedule and are all very hard working. In which case you can take active discussions in the agenda. Clearly you don't vote, but if you've got comments to make on the agenda, we like your involvement.
Thank you.
You know, in which case it brings us on to item 6, which is Buckingham University events, which is you again.
Yeah, so very, very quickly, because obviously, as Margaret mentioned, it's actually quite difficult to plan for anything. It has been quite difficult to plan for anything, although we've established now, the Vice Chancellor has established a series of talks which happen pretty much every Wednesday evening, either outside in the Vice Chancellor's garden in Non-Duchy Hall, or as we head into the winter, it will either be kind of retain some of the features of the outgoing Vice Chancellor's talks, which are in his living room. But if they generate enough interest, they'll head into the Radcliffe Centre, and those talks are intentionally set up not just for the benefit of staff and students, but for the wider community. And James, if anyone's now spoken to James since he's taken on that role, knows that he's very committed to the idea of the community engaging with university activities. And the talks will be interesting and stimulating. They'll be on subjects that might be, newsworthy and controversial, but they'll give you an opportunity to listen and think about different situations, get a different context, and in some respects get a national context on some of the more local issues that we perhaps focus on ourselves. And those happening every Wednesday, and you can book onto those events using an event link on the university's events page website, and they're called Tales on the Riverbank. And the other thing to mention, this is imminent, is that that our new students are joining us, and we've got a Freshers Week coming up in the first week of October. We have a link to the community through an organisation called Friends of the University of Buckingham. You'll know, obviously, outgoing Councillor Mike Smith chairs that committee. So I think, they've always been community-minded. As a result of Mike sitting at the head of the table there, I think he naturally considers ways that we can bring the community into the university as well. So there's another link there, and we'd obviously encourage membership to that committee, or that particular group from members of the community, so that they can also promote active engagement between the community and the university. The sorts of things that group do are they teaching students how to cook, so they'll have a set range of ingredients, and they teach the students how to put those ingredients together, which is particularly useful for students that come from different cultures and different backgrounds to get a taste of what some of our cultural offerings are. And they also do things like conversation classes with students who come from places like Japan, for example, so that they're not only learning English in an academic way, but equally speaking to members of the community and having conversations around the dinner table. And so there are opportunities for members of the community to engage with that. I think it's a really good way of making the students feel welcome, but also making members of the community feel that we're part and parcel of the same community. I don't want to go on too much because I think I was.
No, it's good to hear.
So those are things that are actively happening, and I think the best way into those specific activities are to join as members of the Friends of the University. And Mike Smith is the chair of that group, and I'd love to hear from anybody that would like to join.
Thank you. Members, just how do you feel we should proceed with this? Because obviously, reluctantly, we've lost Councillor Smith, who stood down, and he was representing, I believe, not only himself, but was a great advocate for coming back to the council. Because it's a council representation, not a committee representation, are you happy that we make a recommendation to full council that we consider appointing a councillor to represent the council, so that it gives chance for all members of the council to be involved? And obviously other members have got their own links in there, but we want somebody to take it who hasn't got historic links with the university, because that would be a good thing. Are we happy to agree that recommendation? If I propose it, can someone second it? Okay, Councillor Donahue second that, and then we'll recommend that to council, and then the mayor will deal with that at the next meeting. By which time we'll have figured out with the town clerk what was the previous procedure for it and what the workload was, and he'll put together a proper report for you, Margaret, I expect, which will lead us into it, because Mike was brilliant at doing things, but he was so brilliant at doing things, he didn't always tell us what he was doing. Which was one of Mike's things. He presumed, he never fell over at what he was doing, but sometimes didn't tell the rest of us. That's Mike, which is a class act. Right, in which case, thank you for that, Dean. I'm going to move on to item 7, which is a motion from Councillor Willett. And if you read the motion out, Councillor Willett, and if it's seconded, we'll we'll vote on it and discuss it.
So the motion is, I propose that the town council sets a budget of £200 under the town centre and events committee from 2022 to 2023 for a historical record and publishing of a bardic book. This is designed to keep a record of all future bards and possible previous bards' poetry related to Buckingham, and enhance the history and culture of the town.
You want to
It's small.
You're doing it for the screen in the meeting. The gentleman's trying to do it from a phone, which is probably not ideal.
The cost of this, I believe, should be covered by the town council, and one copy should be maintained in the old jail and the other in the council offices. A big shout out and personal work that's gone into this from a Mr. Dean Jones, who's currently been co-opted on the committee, has played a vital role in this motion, and we think that the historic record should be maintained from this year forward.
Happy to second that, Chairman.
Okay, in which case I'll go to Councillor Murray, Vice Chairman.
Just a question to Dean. I know that your work is very good. Is there a copyright?
I think that if the bard is happy for the work to go into the book, and I think it might be a reason for a bard to put themselves forward as a bard, is that they know that their work might get published. I don't think there'll be any, which I think you probably want to say.
I think we need, but we need a declaration from the
Yeah.
bard to say that he is prepared for us to use his work in the book.
Or
because
she.
there are lots of, or she, because there are lots of issues of copyright.
Yeah, a legal document or something.
It's a legal document.
I think
That's fine.
Yeah, I think the bard would probably advise what poems they thought were appropriate.
Okay.
And it could be a working document that you add to, or it could be a single document that happens each year. Sorry.
Any other questions on this? I think it's a pretty simple thing to agree. Margaret?
Yeah, can I just ask whether, I mean, obviously you've been the only bard so far. Would you expect yourself or a future bard to be publishing some of the poems in another way, though,
Yeah, so I think that I would hesitate to put my poetry forward that didn't relate directly to Buckingham, or that had some kind of political slants on it that wouldn't be with like general interest of the community. But I think anything that is a real interest of the community, so particular events that have happened and that you're writing poetry on, whether it's like the Charter Fair poem or whatever it might be, and that's got some historical relevance to it, because something in that poem might be really important in 100 years' time. Well, who was the main guy that ran that, and how was it set up, and there are bits in it that can help you kind of trace back. So, I think that answered your question.
I'll go to Lisa and then I'll come back.
Thank you. Should we give the town clerk a budget to go to our solicitors to draw up a legal
I was going to
document?
come to that. If members are happy to agree the recommendation, and I was looking through the budgets now, and if members are happy that with agreement that we find a budget to, if possible, from the committee to move it forward swiftly. If not, are the committee happy that we make a recommendation to council? Because if we do a budget within the committee out of this year's budget, it's done, dusted. If we go to council, we then got to rediscuss it, and it can be more challenging. I'll take town clerk's view.
So are we talking about a budget as recommended in motion, or are we talking about a budget for the cost of legal advice?
Yeah.
Second one.
Well, no, I think the motion doesn't mention anything to do with what Councillor Mari said. The motion is purely to agree a budget. What Councillor Mari was seeking, I think, was making a legal comment about it, which I think isn't a question that we would discuss the budget of here anyway. It would be something that you would deal with under resources anyway. So
the council does have a budget for legal costs.
Okay.
yeah.
So unless we end up needing a huge amount of money, then I'll think about it, right?
Yeah. Which case, going back to Andy before I speak, Andy?
Why don't you go a step further and say all the poetry that does come out, which is the one that's amusing, we could put it into a little booklet and sell it in the museum. People would love to buy it, and not only for themselves, but as a token of Buckingham, or give it as gifts to people.
I can say, having, that's might have been involved producing a family book, these things are more expensive than you first believe.
Mugs.
And we did once, one of our belated long past councillors ordered us lots of mugs for the millennium, of which we're still handing them out. And they have been really useful to drink out of, but they've got the year 2000 on. So we do have to be careful, but I think that the £200, I think, is probably a shade, I don't know what man thinks, a shade on the cheap side. So if members are happy, I would like to propose an amendment that we allow we agree the motion and find out the cost and bring it back, so that when we're talking about what the cost is of doing it, rather than agree something on £200 and then we can't do it.
Yeah.
Can I ask that we look into the cost of publishing a book of poetry, Bard's poetry, alongside that?
Yes, that's excellent. That's where I was going. You read my mind. I think you're right. So so are we agreed then that we will agree the recommendation in principle to find a budget? That's the only words different in here. We'll have a discussion at the next meeting about the budget, what we've got, and at that point, I think we still have to then make a recommendation, because it's a council thing, not an events committee thing. So let's get all our balls in a row so that it actually goes to council with prospects to see. Because if we send this to council, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, how much is that going to cost?" Such and such and so and so. So we need to do that. Amanda.
For the Queen's Jubilee a few years ago, we did publish. I know we had to have a certain amount published to get a decent price, and it was quite expensive, and you've got to send one off to this place and that place and that, but I can look and see how much that cost. That was a few years ago though. Just rough idea.
Just a comment. One of the things I think with this is, if once you've got the principle established, it's a live document. You're not going to be producing this today. You're going to be producing this maybe after the second or maybe the third part, and it's an agreement that you're going to do this. Otherwise, you're going to be producing a series of books. So we could look at doing it as a document within the file of the town council for a while, and then a date appropriate, the council would then publish it, because otherwise we get a situation that we'll be publishing lots and lots of books. Town clerk.
It's really difficult to predict, I'd say. So we might get a bard next. So Dean has been prolific. So the challenge with Dean is going to be, how do you cut down Dean's work into a book?
Yeah, just the rule would have to be about Buckingham, and pick the ones that are right for Buckingham.
But you might find with another bard, you get someone who's much more they take 2 months to produce a poem and it's very specific and particular, in which case you might have a pamphlet that's really good, but it's not a book in the same way. So you might find something who's musical, it's kind of sung and then it doesn't really work as much in the book. So I think it really is going to be a year-on-year kind of decision. Let's see who we've got and what's appropriate. I mean, you might do a CD with someone, or MP3 downloads, whatever you do.
So just so we're all clear before, Councillor Willis.
I was just also going to say that I believe that later in the meeting there is a motion on junior bards as well. So it's possible that we could collaborate the junior bard in there as well. And publish.
I think that's a question for the next conversation further down the line. Try to get this sorted first. Now, going back to Nina, who presumably would have got a pretty good idea what we've actually agreed, because we went 3 different ways on that at any one point. I think I know where we are, but Nina.
I believe what you were saying was you're agreeing the motion in principle, but that you want to bring the discussion back to the next meeting to give us time to look at the budget bring back an outline with a view to recommending to full council on full costs for publication of a book and any necessary legal costs.
Right. Dean.
And at that point, in 6 weeks' time, when that meeting happens, I will no longer be bard. There'll be a brand new, hopefully, there'll be a brand new bard in place. So it's just worth knowing. Bearing in mind, so when you discuss it, you'll be basing that discussion on what we start to know about this new bard.
Exactly. And I'm sure you'll pass over the pearls of wisdom, like the Dumbledore's hat, you'll pass it across. And once they put the hat on, all those, they'll go into the sorting house and we'll find out what sort of barb they are. Whether they're going to be in one house or the other. But no, I think that members happy to vote on what has been read back. Are we agreed? Show of hands, please. It's a novelty having you all in one room, so quite much. Yeah, thank you. Right. Now we're doing Barb's again. Barb election, town clerk.
Yeah, so this is for information. So reminder that the Bard isn't a town council thing. It's something that we support along with the Bardic Council. So the Bard remains independent, has an independent voice. Therefore, we can't get into, you can say this, you can't say that. So we were going to have a trial last year, but obviously didn't happen because of lockdown. Dean's been Bard for 2 years.
2 years.
Which is long enough for everyone, I think, would be.
It's a long time.
Your view. So we're planning on having the second trial, which will be as the first one, in the coat at the back of the wall pack, first Tuesday in October. Dean's got a really good network we've developed over the time, so actually hoping to have more people there from around the area. And again, we'll do what we did last time. We'll promote it locally, try and get people to stand for the trial. Hopefully we have someone different, because I think that if Dean went on any longer, it'd be hard to see how anybody else could do the role. So but the idea of the Bard is every year you change it. So after 4 or 5 years, you've had a wide variety. So yes, I'll give you some basic information there. We'll do it by vote again, keep it nice and simple. Dean's working on the programme, we've got an act or 2 booked, and Dean will do a bit of performance, I think, as part of it as well.
Yeah, so I think, so last, when we did it, it was purely a string of potential bards and then the competition. I think this time round, the idea is that you incorporate some quite well established spoken word talent within the mix, so that it almost gives them a sense of where they're going or what barding could look like for them 3 or 4 or 5 years' time. And it will include some music and a bit of humour, so it'll be more sort of an entertaining evening alongside the other poets' work. But as Paul said, the idea is each year we should get someone who's completely different and bring somebody completely new to the role, and that's, I think, what will keep it alive and kicking into the meetings.
Right, thank you. So there was a date for that, wasn't there? The election, or was that to be agreed?
Yeah, 5th of October.
5th of October. So what we really need to do is have our smart team promote that, and maybe would you be willing, Dean, to work with the office and the mayor to draft something appropriate to advertise that?
Yes.
Yeah, I could write something which was appropriate, but then I think it's probably better coming from you. It won't need to go down to Bletchley Park. So that's good. That's fantastic. In which case we move on to the markets. You've had the report in the agenda. What you will note, Town Clerk.
I was just going to say, just to add to the report, I did send an email around today that actually the correct figures are that as of 5th of September, the total taken so far this year is £12,748 after 22 weeks of trading. So that's even better than the report.
Have the committee got views on that? I have some things to say, but has the committee got any views on the market? Obviously, we've all been using it. Russell, you're going to speak on the markets, Russell, because you're here tonight to tell us exactly what it is, because you're doing the markets. Sorry about that.
Yes, after 22.5 weeks, we're up to 12,000 £748, which is well above expectations. Can I take this opportunity to thank the council for allowing the markets to continue with safety measures in place during the COVID pandemic, because it's really helped support the community and it's helped us develop as a market and take it forward over the last 12 months.
Thank you. I take it's personally pleasing the work that you've put into this, and from a personal point of view, I'll work my way around. Councillor Donahue and Councillor Margaret Gately.
I was a bit concerned to read that Russell is updating social media in his own time, and we do have a town centre manager, and we also have somebody that deals with social media. So I just wondered why, or wondered if there was a connection between our members of staff that are doing the business networking in the town, because it says in here that Russell's doing business networking within the town, and we obviously have Emma who does the same thing. But yeah, it does concern me that he's using his own time to do social media when we do have somebody employed who could maybe take some of that on, not all of it if Russell's happy to do it, but I just think we shouldn't use people.
I'll let that point rest and take Margaret, and then we'll do it towards the middle.
Thank you. I just thought that it's absolutely extraordinary that this has been achieved, given the year and a half that we've had, when so many businesses are struggling, and the market has been not only sustained, but actually has grown. I find it remarkable, and that has to be credit to Russell and the work he's done. And I, really commend you for what you've done.
Before I come back to town clerk and make a comment, any other members' view on the budget and the report? Okay, I'll go back to town clerk to answer those two questions on social media and then discuss with Russell.
Okay. So in terms of social, so I don't want to get into go too far into a discussion around individual staff members and who does what, on Russell's terms and conditions. I think those two accounts have been set up by Russell, and Russell has got a really good understanding of the market he's working with and who he's aiming at and the kind of content people want to see around those things. So as a team, we do work together on social media really well. We have mutual access to accounts and quite a lot of stuff. But it is something that Russell has done, and Russell's run with it and made it happen. So in terms of a staff member doing unpaid stuff out of hours, that's something we need to take up outside the meeting, because I'd share your concern on that, which we'll do. Okay. But I think the overall message is that Russell's done really well, because he's just taken the thing and run with it, and that's who Russell is.
Yeah, I think that's what I was wanting the town clerk to say, but it weren't my place to say it. A
couple of comments just generally on the market as well. Just noticing members' comments. Our market, both our markets are doing really well, and that's not necessarily true of other markets in the area. So that is something about Russell's tenacity and the fact that we didn't give up in lockdown, and some markets took a more risk-averse approach, and they're still struggling to come back from that. So that's one of the things that's going on. And actually, we do have traders on a waiting list as well. So it has become a popular market. And that's a difficult thing to do, because actually that involves a lot of networking with traders. Russell's got a good handle on who's around. Once you get a good reputation, you build a good reputation. But a lot of that is work. It's networking, and it's business networking with people. And we've got good quality traders. So it's one that we're getting some really good choice and variety on there. And the flea market is doing really well. And obviously over the summer we had the activities out there which have brought in some additional people as well. So it's quite a good story. Obviously it's not a flat line through the year, so the flea market takings will likely go down quite a lot in the winter. Yeah. But we're definitely ahead of the game from where we were last year. We expected to be.
Thank you, town clerk.
Can we minute our thanks, Chairman?
Well, I was going to say some things on it, and obviously we will do that.
Thank you.
Firstly, let's recognise that we took some decisions last year which have proved to be the right decisions, which was the committee looked at this and giving Russell the autonomy, and Russell taking over in the markets has shown an absolute success, in the sense that what we thought was, if you looked at the figures at the start of COVID and where we are today, and we were showing a negative on market incomes, Russell's turned that round. So big hand to Russell, and that shows the tenacity. From my own personal point, that shows that the social media that he's doing has worked. That shows that it's been proportionate and accurate. And one thing, when you've got someone doing something, it's better to let them do it rather than somebody else come in and interfere. So I think I don't want to change anything there. It's working very well. If it's a matter of resources, we'll talk about that outside the meeting. But I think we should minute our immense thanks to Russell for the work that he's done. The fact that he's managed to keep our market going forward, the fact that our market is got, for the first time in a number of years, people wanted to come to it, which is a position that I can think back meetings on meetings over years and years, and Councillor Mari will know from chairing the committee that it was always a struggle, wasn't it, Andy? Always a struggle. So I would like to propose that we minute our thanks. I also think that in conjunction with Russell, I think we need to do if the committee's agreement, a press release around the success of the market, around the success of the decisions, and that we are by no means complacent, but we are ahead of the curve. And I think we've got a good story to tell there. I'm happy to give some words, but I want Russell to lead on that, and I'll add some words which will be inclusive of the work of the committee, which is my style. We agree with that?
Absolutely.
Obviously, just going back to when I worked for the council and we did a report on the council, I think we did one then and we did one prior to that, about 4 or 5 years before that, and they gave a kind of on-the-spot health review of the market. It'd be really interesting to see how some of the comments that were picked up then have then evolved into what Russell's got now. Take it back to that group that run those reviews, so that we can show how those reports perhaps work.
I think that's something that we'll do, but I think we work with the officers, and we've got really good officers now working for us, and we've got a really good demonstrated town centre manager who's got the loudest voice in Buckingham, and can speak for himself very clearly at any event. Represent the town council, that can be orderly be heard as well. What more could you ask for from a member of staff? So is that agreed that we'll work on that press release? There's no panic for when we put that out, because it just needs to be, Russell needs to be involved in that. Definitely. And we'll build it around Russell. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's always nice to have positive things to say in a meeting, isn't it? And of course, we are the only revenue raising committee of the town council. In the sense that we actually raise revenue in our committee. All the other committees spend it. So, which I will bring up at a later point. You don't need to question that, unless you want a long, in-depth discussion about that, which I beg you not to have, for your own health.
He doesn't want to fight.
If you want to discuss that, I think you'll find I'm right. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry about that. Which brings us on to item 10 after a bit of amusement there, which is community garden. Can I first apologise to the member of the public? This came in, and Amanda, Nina and the town clerk will know this came in just as our agenda had been published, and for one reason or another, we didn't go back to the gentleman sharp enough to point that out to him. We didn't miss it, we just couldn't add it on an agenda after it had been drawn up and sent out because it missed it. That's why it's on here now. So nevertheless, it's open for discussion from members. It's on here unless a member of the office wishes to talk to it, either Amanda or the town clerk. Well, it's self-explanatory in the sense that it's basically a project in Vorton Park, really. Members' views, please, rather than me give my views all along. Lisa.
I mean, we do have a parks budget, so I'm just wondering why, it's wonderful that members of the public and residents are seeing things and, aware enough to notice them and want to dig up weeds and plant things. I'm just wondering, as to connect with the Green Spaces team, because they're in the parks all the time.
Yeah. But this,
And we do have a budget for plantage.
this is a community garden award, which is an events thing, where it falls between the committees. If we took a decision which involved parks, we'd then refer it to environment, but we're not took a decision, but take point. Mayor?
Can I just check out, is the proposal that we initiate a new community gardening award? Because I'm not quite sure where we're going with it, that's all. Or that we write to the man involved and commend him for what he's done?
I think that's the first thing to do, which you're always right, until I'm right. Yeah, I think you're right. But
there isn't a proposal contained within it.
No,
I just wonder what possibilities there are. I mean, and I think it would be, had it drawn to council's attention, possibly it would be remiss of us to then do nothing with it.
Correct.
But if we did initiate an award, then we would have to have that on an ongoing basis. And maybe this is just a one-off, really positive action by a member of our community who could just get a letter from the town council commending him for his initiative in enhancing our environment. Again, it was during the COVID crisis, wasn't it? When I think people probably were more conscious of our parks and our green spaces, and he saw an area, and it's presumably quite near to where he lived, and he thought, I can make that nice for everyone, and he did it, and I think that's absolutely fabulous.
A letter from the mayor.
Yeah.
Yes. Go on.
So, from a ownership of the land perspective that's being guerrilla gardened, in fact, which I think is great. I love guerrilla gardening. I think it's brilliant. But in terms of insurance for anything any work that's being done there, and setting a precedent of people deciding to go and dig up bits of Broughton Park to plant their own things, I think there's a little bit more that needs to be thought about it before we start encouraging it anymore.
A couple of points. One is that this isn't the first time we've had guerrilla gardening within town parks, and sometimes experiences slightly better than others.
Yeah.
And we've managed everything informally in the past, and that's been okay. I don't see based on that photo, I don't see much of an insurance risk. We did agree about 18 months ago to look at a project which would encourage community gardening across the town, and that's been on the back burner because of lockdown and everything else, which I think we need to review that again. So this might be a chance to look at that for the next committee, perhaps. So the proposal then was that we were going to talk to Buckinghamshire Council, possibly BART, about just a principle that are we happy for people to do X, Y, and Z? You just need to check with us that it's a safe place before you do it.
And safe plants and whatever else. And start putting deadly nightshade in, or start growing weed or whatever. Then it's
But I think that could be this could be help us restart a actually really good project around.
I think there needs to be some element of control there.
Which goes back to
needs to be under an umbrella.
I'll go to Dean and then come back to Ryan, then come back to you, Liz, if that's right.
And first thing I want to say, I walk past that area every morning to drop my daughter off at school, and it looks so much better now than it did. And it did look really nice when that park was first reinvigorated, and I think it just gradually disappeared, but it looks great. So well done to the person that's done that. I think that I agree that there's a potential that you'll get varying degrees, varying standards depending on who's involved in doing it. But I wondered whether or not a way to kind of add an element of control, but also an element of community spirit and a bit of competition is to have allocated guerrilla gardening areas, which people apply to support in advance, and then for the summer set up 3 or 4 spaces in 1 or 2 of the park areas where they can specifically do their community garden. And then maybe at the end of the year there could be a competition where the best designed community garden gets the mayor's stamp of approval.
Right, Councillor Willett.
Well, it's kind of, in the words of Meatloaf, apart from the next line afterwards, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was wondering if sort of a plot allocation of guerrilla gardening, a certain area might work. It's possible that we could, that people could be allotted, a certain section of land, either by their own choosing or completely branded. I think it's a good idea.
Councillor.
Yeah, thank you. Right, Fran was kind of on the same wavelength as what I was on. I think there does need to be a conversation with our Green Spaces team, because they are in the park regularly. They are seeing areas that could perhaps need a spruce up, and it's a wonderful thing. And I thank the gentleman for doing that. But we do need to be careful. So thank you, Fran, for kind of being on the same wavelength.
Just encapsulating I think what we're looking to do is to take the mayor's suggestion. We write to the decent man and thank him for what he's done and how he's made a contribution to the park during COVID. And I think that's something that, if you're happy to do, Margaret, it comes from you. Next thing is we bring back the report on where we were going to go with 18 months ago, which COVID interrupted. We bring back that report, the information, pick the bones out of it and see if it's a event or if it's a environment issue. We pick the bones out of it here. If we decide that it's going to be something which falls into the Environment Committee, allocating land. But the key thing, what the town clerk said, it rather works with what Dean said, is it's a good thing to do, and it brightens the town up. So we were going to write to Buckinghamshire Council some years ago, and we didn't get very far with it because they were in the midst of worrying about turning into a unitary. It was about the time they got the announcement they were going to be a unitary. No one was talking. We couldn't really progress it, and I think we need to now start that progression again. What comes out of that can be brought back even to the next meeting or the meeting after that, depending on how the correspondence goes. And then if we're agreed, take on board the positive suggestions here and discuss it again. And if it's going to be an event, it will stay here. If it isn't an event, it will go to environment.
Yeah.
Is that the way forward?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I think that was constructive, and another nice letter for Margaret to write. Give Margaret nice letters and things to do. Apologise. Welcome back proposals. Now, you've got this on your agenda today. Now, the town clerk and I had a sort of email conversation on this today. The report you've been putting here hasn't got all the detail of the report which the members of the community board circulated. It was my decision to put this on the agenda because we got the right item. We the town centre committee, we do stuff in the town centre, and if I hadn't flagged it up, none of you would have got to talk about this, and I was not going to comment on it wearing my Buckinghamshire Council hat until I'd heard what this committee and the town council thought about it. Hopefully the two things will be in agreement. If you look at the report, it's proposing to do some small or radical changes to the town centre, whichever way your view is on it. The areas which are being suggested is taking out the lay-by the old jail, which is the pull in and stop lay-by, pop into Clay's, pop up to Tesco's, drop a parcel off at the post office, lay-by, and all that area was landscaped and designed some years ago to be attractive in the sense. So it had a lot of money spent on it back in, probably 2001, 2003, and it was all redesigned. The other element in it is to take out the area of parking opposite Tesco's and take the railings down, or it wasn't very clear. The other element which hasn't made your paperwork, which is this one here, there, and that element there is the down. What isn't made here is which hasn't come to you, which wasn't in usual way. I wasn't making myself very clear to the town clerk this afternoon. It says a photograph of what they want to do or proposing to do on the road as goes round by the post office. There's a proposal to do some planting at the end of that road and narrowing of that road as you go out onto the town past the post office.
Onto West Street.
Onto West Street. There was a proposal in there which isn't actually made through. I mean, it's in the email I sent you.
That one?
No, you go back for the email.
This is what you sent me.
Yeah, I said flip down it, flip down it, flip down it. You'll see.
That's as far as that goes.
There's
Not that one.
Yeah, no, carry on. There you are.
That one.
Yeah.
That's the one I sent round.
Is that the one you sent round?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
So hang on,
Oh, is that the one?
let me put that up on the screen.
It's important you see the areas properly before we
That
start.
one.
As you can see, that is the proposal to. It's very architecturally well done. As you can see, that tree is drawn with brilliance of design, and you would commit millions of pounds based on that, wouldn't you? And so it looks to me in that the proposal is to stick a tree there. Don't worry, you'll get a chance to talk. The other element, which is the town hall, which if we have it on the screen is probably best.
We don't own that, do we?
No.
Yeah, see, none of that made any sense to me.
Well, this one. So
Yeah,
So-
all of them, to be fair.
yeah.
Yeah, now let's go back. That's why I've done these ones first, and then the town hall proposal. Well,
Right, so what's that one?
that one is to,
So right, should we go down the one at a time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, that would be good.
Can I say a couple of things?
Yeah, when we get the town hall one up.
The town hall one.
I'm trying to flow through them.
Go down one at a time.
So you want to start with town hall? Okay.
Yeah, there's the town hall proposal. Now, if we start from that, the proposal there is that there would be planters put there and to restrict the parking on there, which we do agree has been an ongoing question for years, which begs the question why. I do believe we wrote to them many times asking about whether we could put planters on there historically, and Amanda's nodding, and we're always told we couldn't. Now, what I believe this is being done under, which the town clerk will correct me if I'm wrong, is COVID legislation. So this is able to be done because it's bounced back money from the government to make the town centre work. So it's like one-off funding, which I believe the legislation with that stays with that funding, which I'll come at the town clerk. My view was then, the question you asked, that once you've put planters into an area, the report I've seen, which I think isn't here, and that was because it wasn't particularly drafted that succinctly, is who funds it going forward. I think reasonable suggestion, planters there, something we had ambitions to do 10 years ago, and we couldn't do. Who funds it going forward? Who maintains that? Who waters it? The land? No.
No,
No.
they're not. No.
Villiers own the access to the bit around the town, or the area around the outside is Buckinghamshire Council. It's been part of the ongoing expert discussions about that area for years, and the reason it's been impossible to resolve is transport for Bucks and Bucks County Council and everyone else. So that part of the suggestion, though interesting, raises, for my thinking budgetary, that if they fund it for 1 year, my concern would be that the aspirations for that would, that the residents with that would solve the problem. Does it legally stay the next year? And if it legally stays next year, who funds it going on? And my concern as chairman, because we have the budget to maintain and water things, is I would presume if they were going to suggest that we did it, they would have come to us in the first place and had the conversation with the office about, would you budget in future years to do X and such, to put it in the precept? Because if we were going to do it, we have to raise a revenue, we have to raise a budget for it, and we have to precept for it next year for the preceding year, which I think probably works out, and Amanda and Town Clerk might correct me, probably about £500 a tub in it, roughly, plus staffing, plus watering, and we pay people to water our baskets, and that can be a discussion at times. Terry was always the expert on baskets and things. He loved that, bless him. So that's it's laid out. So I now go to the town clerk, and then we'll open it up for discussion.
Okay, so a couple of points. One is in terms of the timing and the money. So these were projects that were discussed kind of by the community board subgroup, and they were going to go through for community board funding. It's now been identified this other welcome back funding might be able to pay for them, but there's quite a tight timescale on that. Buckinghamshire Council wrote to us saying we'll only take them forwards if the town council agrees to them. So that's a good thing. They're not just railroading stuff through in the town. And as Robin said, I think it will be done under legislation. So if you remember the Morton Road crossing, that went in under this legislation because that probably wouldn't have gone in under normal legislation because it would have been too tricky to get it in. And that is apparently also temporary, but one person's temporary might be another person's leave it in until somebody remembers it's got to be, once something's there, that's 50% of winning, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a really tight timescale about this. The drawings were put together by someone and given to officers, and officers have just recycled the same drawings back. They haven't actually given us any more detail on them, which is a bit of the frustration that we've got here, I would suggest. And yeah, I think certainly it sounded like a recommendation could be that if we supported it, it would be conditional upon stuff about long-term funding support being resolved, because that we definitely need to not get stuck in something.
Do we have to select one or all?
No, so what we don't have is any financial information. So I'd recommend working on the basis that it can all be done.
Right.
Yeah, I think, to me, the proposal for doing something outside the town hall is very different from the other three.
Correct, yeah.
Because this has been a nightmare
absolutely.
and exacerbated by dominoes of
Yeah.
And people park wherever they see fit. If they're in a car, it doesn't matter where I park, double yellow lines by a zebra crossing, whatever, and in front of the town hall. If planters are put there, will people still try and squeeze their vehicles alongside, between the planters, drive into them? Will they get damaged very quickly? I mean, you almost need a railing around the outside to protect them, or bollards or something. I would love to see this area, something done to this area. I think that's really important. But the other areas, the lay-by outside the old jail and that bit within the that reduces parking, doesn't it? And to me, that's not necessarily a good thing.
No.
And putting
Especially not
trees in.
when you look at the several bays in that area are all on the slope.
Yeah. But putting trees in, trees grow.
Yeah.
I mean, particularly the tree in Lloyd's Bank, I just can't see how, I mean, the tree's got to, poor tree trying to survive as well. If we're planting trees, I'm not sure that's the place to do it.
Right.
And we certainly don't want to be reducing car park, and particularly short-term car parking spaces, or to premium anyway.
Because we use that space for band jam and music in the market.
Yeah.
For
Don't worry, I'm going to give everyone a chance to talk. I'm going to work my way back round of the way the hands went up. Dean, Amanda, Fran. You got me, didn't you? She got me. She always gets me. Ryan. She always gets me. Well done, Fran. She gets me all the time. Right, you throw me now. Dean.
I love trees, and I think it's great to see a green town. And I've been to Townbury recently, and they purposely planted trees to make the inner part of the town really nice and green, and feel like it's a nice place to be. If you plant trees, as Margaret said, where those have been proposed, it'll eventually the roots will grow out. The surface of the road will get destroyed. The houses will get put in jeopardy structurally, and it will be a nightmare, which is a shame. But I don't think trees. I've been in those places. Plant trees, definitely.
Yeah. Amanda.
With the picture outside the old town hall, how many planters would they put there? Are they going to speak to Villiers because people park there for the weddings, unloading equipment for functions that they've got on, and what, where will they go to do that? They're going to have to cross the road. And also, if they put planters down here towards Castle Street, it's going to block the view, people trying to come out of Castle Street, and that's dodgy enough as it is.
Thank you.
And then with this one, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
With this one, what is the red line? Sorry.
Arcana, yes.
It's a red line. I presume
They've
if you look
taken
at
out the bollards.
the bollards, either the chains or the bollards are coming out. It was only not long ago that we had a Mini go through and land on there, and the bollard slowed it down.
Yeah. So that won't affect the charter fare then?
Well, we'll get to that after everyone's had a go, which is, I think I was Fran, and then Ryan, and then Andy.
Okay, so as Amanda quite rightly said, the visibility around the town hall will be affected going in and out of Castle Street. Also, trying to turn out of West Street, if they narrow that road, and there's some quite large vehicles use that bit of road in and out, well, coming out, because especially on market days, when
you're right. Transit vans.
But I'm thinking deliveries to places like Bin, on market days where they can't get down the rest of the market. If you narrow that road, the visibility displays will be dreadful, and you'll end up having to go halfway across West Street in order to turn left from there, on a pinch point anyway in the road. I think that's a really, really bad idea. Taking away, they've only just recently made those spaces that they're talking about taking out into actual spaces, because they were a loading bay only, weren't they?
Yes.
For a long time. There are cars in and out of there all the time. People just pop in to Tesco or wherever else, and also the bays opposite with the sorting office. I think they're both really bad ideas, and it's a really, really shoddily put together thing.
Ryan, and then Andy.
Can I say, can I see the picture up by the Chewer.
The Chewer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Buckingham lad, he knows it's the Chewer.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
Well, that's not the
That's the
Chewer.
one-
The Chewer
No,
goes round
by the
the
Chewer.
No, by the Chewer. He's in the right area,
Past the
Fran.
post office.
Past the post office.
Market deal with the archive post office.
We know where you
Where
are.
they want to put a big tree.
We know where you are, Ryan, don't worry.
Not that one.
Not that one.
The Chewer is
Not that one.
is
Not
the
that
There's
Sent
no
earlier.
post office.
post office, that's where we're going.
No, that one.
That one.
That's
That
it. The Chewer is down the other
Am I
side.
correct in saying that, right, they would have to put no left turns in there? Because there is no way that someone can, with a
Well, that's
car,
what I was just saying.
can turn
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
absolutely, it's
Just
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's,
Which would mean more traffic going down School Lane,
yeah,
Yeah.
because quite often you just want to
no, like,
nip round there and come out again, don't you?
Yeah.
and that road up by Western Avenue is absolute hell on us.
Yeah, we're not doing that today though, Ryan, mate. Don't worry, we'll get to that one day when they send us another artistic drawing like this to base all our decisions on. It's nice to know that with the unitary we're able to produce such quality pieces of work for people to look at. I'll come to Deputy Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Only Fran has already touched on that, on the subject by the jail. People don't park for long. You're limited to 1 hour. They go to the post office, quick dash, Tesco's, Costa Coffee, and out again. And if you're going to annoy the people of Buckingham, this is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
And to take there used to be a parking, going back to the other picture, opposite the post office and next to the tea rooms, with the lay-by. That used to be a taxi rank.
Yeah.
And it was never used.
No.
And that's what the change is to a parking. And again, that is it is a very fast-moving, short-term parking to go to the butchers, again, collect posts and do the same things as they do anything. I think it's a bad proposal. I think it's a very bad proposal. And to put trees in there, it wouldn't work for our events. We have so many events.
I'll come back to Amanda. I've got a town clerk and I've got some other information to add at the end, which I didn't add. That's to do with events. Dean.
No, I think I've.
No, Amanda, and then
Thank you.
town clerk, then I'm going to come back and then we can go back round again if we need to, if that's okay. So everybody gets to speak.
The only other thought I've got is the picture that we've seen on the screen of Market Hill up by West Street. The dustbin lorries, how are they going to get out there?
Yeah.
I think you were going to go back and answer Amanda's question
What was that?
about Villiers, where Villiers use that loading,
Yeah.
unloading
Well,
area.
yeah,
That's what you were gonna
Villiers,
come back.
my understanding, you've heard 50 stories about it, but my understanding is Villiers have the right of access over that
Yeah.
on commercial access. I believe that the area in front of Villiers, around the steps, belongs to Villiers. But what doesn't
Yes.
belong to Villiers is the area around the outside, which is Buckingham. What Buckingham could have done, which is quite simple, is to put double yellow lines around there, which actually are enforceable, and we have an enforcement team in the town which I sometimes fall foul of. I probably contribute many parking fines to the coffers of Buckinghamshire. So that would have been my suggestion, being a simple man, that there's a TRO and double yellow lines, which then you can't cross them, and then you've breached the double yellow lines with agreement for access for the Villiers. Seems quite simple. The team are out there enforcing enforcement. That seems the most obvious thing. Town clerk.
So on the small detail first, and then it's a general point. So on the one with the railings, so I'm confident the idea there is to leave the bollards in, but just take out the chain between them. So actually, you've still got the protection for cars, but it's easier. There's more room for pedestrians to walk backwards and forwards. Now, bear in mind, this was more in lockdown. This came through, so actually that means you can walk around more easily without getting close to other people. So that's the idea of that one, which is fairly straightforward. I think what we're being asked is kind of in principle, are these things which we support or not?
No.
But the question around, is it safe? And actually, I think this would then go through a highways assessment. So they will do a technical safety assessment on these things. So we don't go too far down the road of that actually a safe turnout or not, because highways will have to do that assessment before it's implemented. But I think the big question for us is actually in principle, are these, I guess for all of them, you could have massive trees in pots, which could be
said
made,
it's not in the report. We
an
can't
assumption.
make that assumption because it's not in the report. We can only make an assumption of the detail we've been given. We can't help them because if they produce a report as good as this, I'm sure you could have wrote a much better report for them, Town Clerk, but they didn't commission you to do it. I'll just come back, Andy, on some things which I think members need to be aware. Many years ago, and when we done the road closures orders and we put them in for the Charter Fair, we had to extend the road closure order because there was a legal nicety that the post office wouldn't come in from the other end because the fair's in there, because they couldn't go in a one-way street the wrong way. So we had to put the road closure order right up to past the post office and up to the end of the road there, because the post office have to be able to come in and get the mail, which supports what Councillor Fran Davies is saying about turning and trucks and whatever. And they have parcels come to the post office, and we've only got one post office, and they pick up parcels there, which means they'd have to reverse back out into an on-stream of traffic past disabled bays, where which are on a slope, when you would have logically put them on some flat ground, you would have thought. Particularly, yeah. So that doesn't make sense. And the other thing is the fact that they haven't actually been defined. I did think today I should actually pop into Clay's, because I was needing sausage rolls, and because I'm addicted to sausage rolls. And so I went into Clay's and I spoke to them and said, did you know they've proposals to take that bay out? And their reaction was, you serious? I said, yeah, prove it. So I got my paperwork out and showed them the paperwork. Oh, that's great, because people come in to pick up their Christmas orders. They come in to pick up meat to go to caterers, to restaurant, come and pick their meat up. They draw up, pick it up. They know they can get in there early on in the morning or late on in the afternoon, all this type of thing. And it supports lots of other businesses. So the knock on for that business, which coincidentally we might wish to celebrate, was 2 years today, was their opening. So 2 years after being open, we're going to stick a lay-by in front of them, which is going to cut down their business after the town wishing to have a butcher's back for a very long time. We thought we'd do something, or somebody thought they'd do something to make it more
There's
different.
such a massive difference where there are other shop is in Brackley where it's all free parking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to consider the commercial viability of it.
Yeah.
We don't need to have, the butcher's just got up and running. And that, I think that's just a really sad. It's sad that this is coming forward, because as Town Clerk said, what becomes temporary could become permanent. And then when we go back to undo it, I'm not sure what due diligence is going to be done on the highways of this. Town Clerk presumes it's going to go for a mechanism of transport for bucks. It's not under the same legislation. It's not going to go through the same improvement. It's going to be pushed through, and Transport for Bucks will represent it. There's nothing in any report I've said. I've gone back and asked for the costs. I've asked for the there's no costs, no information available to me, and I was asked to sign off on it.
Wow.
Which I would not do. I wanted to hear your views. I'll come to Ryan, and then I'll come to Andy. And then we'll start wrapping up.
One of, I mean, it's also, I don't know if it's humour or interest, but one of my favourite tea rooms is the Buckingham tea room, aside from Blackham's and a few others.
You were commented on today, actually, another tea room that you'd been in.
What was that?
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, but I noticed that on a particular point that you raised earlier, Councillor Statuary, was the viability for business. Now, I know the young lady that runs the tea room there, the Spanish lady, she quite often parks there in the mornings, if not throughout the days, to run her business and get things up and running there. That will make her life and many other people's lives hell to try and run that business. It's, to be honest, it's shocking. It's all really.
I should imagine that they have delivery trucks pull up there for their deliveries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go to Andy. I also am interested in hearing from Russell, who actually runs the market, and hear his view, because it's important that we hear Russell's view.
Just 2 points. One, just is the irony of it all. All the parking bays opposite the shops, such as Tesco's and things, were instigated, I think, in part by Warren. And he put all those bits in, and now they wanted to rip it all up. About the chains for the bollards, I would rather keep the chains there. It protects the people from raw lunch in the schools. When they have their lunch, they sit on the steps and they know that nobody's going to barge in behind them during lunchtime. So if there's one opening, it's fine. But the whole area which has a step there is all usually occupied by students from the two schools during lunch break, sit down and have something to eat, and the chain is a good protection.
Thank you. I've come to Russell, then I look for a formal proposal.
We can see how it's going to be pleasing on the eye, but as for the town markets and as an independent business owner in the area, it's a great concern that it would impact on people's ability to stop short term in the town centre. And also the railings outside the old jail with the chains, I think it encourages people to walk on the pavement area and not step out onto oncoming traffic.
Thank you. Right, I'm looking for a proposal. I'm happy to make one, but I think it should come from the town clerk.
Just clarifying, the report's got 2 recommendations. At the moment, we're discussing the second recommendation, which are the 4 projects at the bottom.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be carry on doing what we're doing, make an agreement on the 4 recommendations at the bottom, then we'll come back to the other bit after that.
Yeah.
Right, go back to which bit you're referring to. I thought we'd covered most of it.
No, we've got that item 5, the town centre proposals.
4.
Oh, yeah, above that, you've got additional proposals, a digital notice board for the town centre and things like that, which I think is quite a good idea.
Well, yes.
But yeah.
I think, thank you. I was so emotionally attached to this, I forgot that. Have been for weeks. With on my own, really, apart from the town clerk being pestered by me about it. Yeah, I think the digital box, we wouldn't be against that, would we?
Where would it
It would depend where it was, because we've got a lot of historic buildings, and if it's going to impact on the setting of a historic building, I think that's wrong.
So that's not defined. So the suggestion would be to put one somewhere around the entrance into Cornwall's Meadow, or the back of Cornwall's Meadow, actually, because that's where a lot of footfall comes through, and that's not as much an issue in terms of historic. The other suggestion might be somewhere next to the bus stop, or at the top of Cattle Pens, possibly.
There's not that much, people getting on the buses, but there's not so much pedestrian traffic down there.
I'd say around here it'd be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be better in Cornwall's Meadow,
Yeah.
on that piece of land which they wouldn't sell us when they sold us the building. For some reason, they needed to hang on to that garden which they've been maintaining so beautifully.
That could be a proposal for some
gorilla.
It's been maintained so beautifully.
The other part of that proposal is to ask for money to replace the lamppost banners around town. They're starting to tear off.
Yeah.
So we can redesign them, do something different with them.
Happy with that.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so we're happy to support those proposals. I
Yeah.
take it. So we'll do it in 2 starts. So on the first one, on the town centre, architectural reconfiguration, stroke whatever, we think it's not a good idea. I think we can encapsulate all the reasons for that in our response.
Yeah.
Dean?
Just the only one that has any merits in my mind is the old town hall
Yeah.
area, which I do think
Yeah.
that was in some way blockaded off to help people pass through and take away the danger of just people randomly parking there.
Yeah.
I think,
The only place that lends itself to some kind of measure.
Yeah.
so we'll take it,
I agree.
you're right, I think that was the way the discussions went, but we needed to define the legalities and the permanency of it. 'Cause
Yeah.
what we really don't want to do is have this all arrive and then it all go away, or it arrive and then suddenly we get a letter from Buckinghamshire County Council asking, will Buckingham Town Council fund this now?
Yeah.
Which will then raise our precept for something that we asked to do many times and were told we couldn't. So I think that if you're suggesting, Dean, that we do it, all other things apart from the town hall, we would disagree with. I think that's where we are.
The only thing, if it's all right to say, is that it wouldn't necessarily have to involve planters, and if you think about the point that Andy made about the chains and posts
Yeah.
that exist in the area that are talking about taking them away, actually that would be a good measure to put in there that could be, then give it.
They can be removable posts.
Yeah.
But it's not our job to propose that.
I think if we were to suggest anything, I would suggest double yellow lines, which are unsightly.
But they have, double yellow lines only work if there's somebody there to enforce them. And at night time, etc., and the times when the enforcement officers aren't around, then they don't work. As a parish councillor, I've had lots of discussions with people about putting double yellow lines in the village, and there's just no point in doing so because
Same outside Bottom Meadow School. Yeah.
Right. So let's get this. We have to be very careful how we do this because if we're not worded properly, they'll.
So we're minded for posts or some.
We're minded. I think what we have to be very. We're talking with. We have to be a little bit more detailed than the drawings when we respond. So, so I think that we're minded to support the town hall proposals with more information about the costing and the permanency of it, or how long it's going to be there. But we're not minded to support the other thing.
I don't think we are minded to be putting planters like that in front of the town hall.
No.
I think we're minded for a measure to improve that area to stop people randomly parking on there. It's not so much parking on there, it's when they shoot off there into the middle of the roundabout.
Yeah. So this is my watch, because we've had said so much, we need to make sure we write about what we are agreeing. So all the other areas we agreed are redundant and of no financial benefit, right?
No aesthetic benefit.
No aesthetic benefit, architectural benefit or commercial benefit to the town centre, that type of thing.
In fact, the opposite.
Exactly, they're a negative.
Yeah.
The area of the town hall, we support some change there, but we think planters, as Fran quite rightly says, could be a visual intrusion, same as the vehicles, and cause a danger. We would support some alternative proposal which improved that, but not.
We may support.
We may support some alternative proposals once we've received proper further information. And as for the notice board, we support in principle once we've received detailed information of where they're going to go. Because if they say we've agreed it and then they stick it against the old jail.
But this is something we would propose and we would then work out whether we want it. It's not something we're agreeing for them to do.
So we're going to do it?
Yes.
In which case I'm happy to support that then. And we'll bring back some proposals to work up some detailed proposals at a later date. We'll bring back so the members can just nod it through with those proposals. We're happy with that. And I think for the record, let's vote on all those things. Right, the first proposals, which is the free, all the areas apart from the town hall, we're proposing we're against, show of hands.
Yeah.
Right, so it's the area at the town hall, we are minded to agree a change there, dependent on what it is coming back. Is that what you were suggesting, Fran?
More or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we agree that changes are needed there. However, we don't feel planting is the correct way to go forward with it from a safety and visual point of view.
Yeah.
And therefore, we would welcome any further proposals that they would have to
improve it.
Improve
it, right? So show of hands on that. So that's
Unanimous.
That's unanimous. And on the areas which the town clerk's going to be managing, are we in favour of that?
Yep.
So that's a show of hands unanimous.
Yeah.
So there's a theme here, isn't there? Okay. And you wouldn't have got that information had I not gave it to the committee, and I was left with, as a Buckinghamshire councillor, expected to nod that through.
But it does also say that they then be able to implement proposals if all 6 unitary councillors and the town council support the proposals. So we basically put a kibosh on it.
Yeah, well, if this unitary councillor won't be supporting it, but I wasn't going to do that until I'd spoken to all of you. Because, I thought that was the important thing for me to do. Right, so we've got to that. Now, we're now going to move to item 12. We've still got lots to do. Item 12, which is the twinning civic event. Town clerk.
So this is really to note. So twinning. So we're well overdue doing the return visit. We go from Lynn to do their part of the twinning. Margaret's been very involved in discussions with the Twinning Association and is a member of the Twinning Association and speaks German, so she's doing more than me on this by some distance. The proposed approach is to hold the big event next March. So that will be the event which we will use the budget for. It will be a civic event. We'll host it at the community centre, and that will involve people from Buckingham, but also from Mouveau, because it's 20 years celebration with them, and we'll put our best clothes on. Russell will do his bit, everybody will do their bit, and we'll make a really good go of it. And that'll be an excellent event, and it's going to take us that long to plan it, and that's when everybody's free and available. However, the Germans are really keen to crack on and get the thing signed. So they're going to bring a very small delegation over the weekend of the Charter Fair. For the council's part, we'll have a session in the afternoon, I think, in the chamber, and we'll actually formally sign the thing. It will be myself and Margaret, possibly Bethany supporting us to do a bit of admin, and it will be a kind of fairly small but very formal, appropriate.
I don't
thing.
think it needs all of us here crammed in here, does it?
So it's a civic occasion rather than an event, if that makes sense.
And obviously the mayor's consul will be present, so I think that's appropriate. Could I ask that, with the committee's agreement, that because this is another feature and Councillor Strain-Clark, though she's no longer a councillor, was the driving force before town gets to it, and that we offer her the opportunity, as it's a small group of people in a room, to be invited to it, just to see the process going on, to see that something that she started, how it's evolved. Are we happy with that? I think it's just good manners.
See a negative in that.
No. But one, I would like to propose from the chair that this isn't something that the mayor should be funding out of the mayor's mayor's allowance. We allow the town clerk to give a suitable budget to cover the costs of the meal out, and we allow the mayor to choose where they go. We don't choose a restaurant for other people to go to. And we give a suitable budget for the mayor to actually fund that. Are you happy that Andy and I and the town clerk will agree that afterwards, because we can't have Margaret paying for the mayor's allowance for this.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
That's agreed.
Yeah.
Show of hands.
It's unanimous.
Probably shouldn't vote on
Well, you
that.
can't vote on it, but I got your interest at heart. You know, in which case we're now doing town centre update, which is town centre manager report. Can I just say that, to be frankly honest, that's been it's been a stunning period for the town centre manager, and I think I'm allowed to say that she will be taking maternity
Yeah.
leave.
I heard.
And can we agree that we send her at the appropriate time? We send our our congratulations and that, and wish her all the well. And I suggested some names to her the other day, but she didn't take me seriously. As my wife didn't take me seriously when I suggested names for our
Was
children.
it Robin,
What's
Jack
Karl
or
Marx?
Sean?
No. Have a conversation with Fran sometime.
I can't remember what.
No, some of the names were not particularly clever. Anyway, and my wife discarded.
Gandalf was one of them.
Well, Gandalf. And my wife disregarded anything I said and named the children, which was much the sensible thing to
When she
do.
started ignoring you.
Probably, yeah. Don't you start. I got Fran over there, you. What chance have I got?
I was going to say, there's like a particular theme with wizards there, isn't there?
There is.
It's
Yeah.
Dumbledore first.
Yeah, there's a theme here today, and the barb and all the town crowd. Yeah, it's a very mythical affair, isn't it? Right, so are we happy to note that report?
Yeah.
Thank you. Tourist Information Centre report, are we happy with the information received?
Yeah.
Are we happy to note that? And again, with a note that on both of those, thank you very much for the work undertaken.
Definitely.
Fran.
I've just got one point I'd like to make about the Tourist Information Centre Facebook page. That it says Buckingham TIC on it. Not that many people know that TIC stands for Tourist Information Centre. I think it would be far more user-friendly if it was changed to Tourist Information Centre on the Facebook group, because I have to stop and think what it means every time I see it written down. It's not something that really...
Tick. Sounds
Yeah, we
Yeah.
talk about it here, don't we? So we kind
Yeah,
of know.
yeah,
don't we?
but
I think we need to tell it, say exactly what it does
Yeah.
on the tin.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not on Facebook, so I've never.
No, can I just make
I agree with you.
a suggestion? One of those two items on the agenda have been decisions of this council. One of them, we took, for new members, we took a decision to take over tourist information because out of our district council, as they were going to drop it, and we wanted to take that on to keep the economy going. So the budget that is in for that is additional budget to the town council, but it's because we felt as a town council we had to budget to keep tourist information going, and because of it supported in its presence the old jail, and that's why we did it. And the old jail have always been very supportive of allowing us space to do tourist information. So I think at some point soon, but not immediately, I'd like to propose we do some sort of communications around the purpose of that, why we've done it, what the decision base was, what the history was, why we budget to do this, and what it does for the town centre and the local economy. I think that's something that the town centre manager's doing, but as a councillor's point of view, I think we need to say, because when you talk to people, A, they're not really aware that we actually fund the Tourist Information Centre because it's called the TIC, and B, they don't realise we've got a town centre manager and they don't realise what we're actually doing. So I think we do need to do some good communication around that, not in broad terms about it, but why we budgeted to do those things, and because they are additional things that Buckingham does, which nobody else in Buckinghamshire to my knowledge, has got a tourist information centre, because Owsbury shut theirs and the town council didn't take it on. And I don't believe, unless the town clerk can think of any, there's no tourist information centres in South Bucks either. So we're the only tourist information centre in Buckinghamshire.
Let's call it that then.
Yeah. So you're happy with that proposal, that we work something out, a form of words, circulate them round to the committee. It's a committee view, and then we'll do a press release round it, and maybe all together do something in the future about the importance of it is to our committee and the finances of the council and the community. Dean may have people in the university who would help us with that, and just come in on that, because part of having Dean here is he can bring some other people to the discussion who might want to add some media to this. Lisa.
Thank you. I don't know the last time that we did something in our Buckingham Town Matters publication, but maybe that's another idea, because at least then it's going to go out to every household and business, and everybody will then be swamped with, this is why we do it, this is when we took the decision. We do have our own publication, so why don't we use it for that?
Margaret might know, because Margaret's been working on that.
Yeah, we did have, when Emma became the town centre manager, there was an article in there about that. There have been articles in fairly, I wouldn't like to say which edition, but recently about the Tourist Information Centre. And I'm with, even though I nearly fell into that trap then, acronyms generally we have to be very, very careful about, and certainly they need to be spelled out the first time. There's a correct way of dealing with acronyms.
I'm taking
but it's so easy to slip into jargon and acronyms.
Yeah, so I'm taking it that the recommendation, agreement of this committee is that we would change the name to Tourist Information, and not in plural, not TIC. But I don't think we can change everything, like from the Facebook page to such and such in one hit, but we change it from the terminology that we do it, and we work our way out from it, because there's a cost in hours in a change. So we need to manage that.
Facebook would be fairly simple to do.
Very
simple.
And I don't think it's prevalent across lots of stuff. It sounds more like an anomaly than a issue.
Okay, right, that's what we've agreed. We'll agree that. Was that agreed?
Let's
agree that now.
Margaret says,
Right. Okay, we've agreed. Are we agreeing that we're going to do some communications and on the value and the economics of it? Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm happy for Dean to feed into that, because the advantage is Dean actually worked for us once, so he probably knows some of these things anyway.
The only thing I did occur to me, when one of the proposals was to upgrade some of the signage in and around the town, hanging signs, whether or not you could make something of a tourist information centre with one of those signs that had specific reference to.
Yeah. Good thinking. Thank you. That's why you're here. That's why you're here, Dean, because original thought.
That made me think, the banners, we could put something about the Twin Towns on the banners. They're not already.
Yeah.
No.
Or we could call it Home of Tourism.
I mean, those banners need to come down, as the town clerk said. They are looking tacky. The town look tacky.
We didn't choose the wording on them, right?
No, we didn't. I know who did.
No.
Yeah.
Right. I'm conscious that we've had some big issues. Let's go to climate emergency plan. I'm not decrying this, but just that we've got so much else on the agenda. Are we happy to note that report, and we'll just discuss it in more detail at the next meeting? Are you happy with that? Thank you. This is item 16, which is to agree to buy a pride flag for 2022. Any members got a problem with that? I propose that we purchase one.
I'll second that.
Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Show of hands.
Where are we going to fly this flag?
On the flagpole.
When?
when it's Pride.
When it's Pride Day.
There's a Pride Day next June.
Next June.
Next June, yeah.
Okay.
Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Do you know when in June?
Oh, good question.
Fine.
Oh no, I'm bad at this.
I do, just to check through the town clerk, we can agree that here, or should we make that recommendation, town council?
Yes. Full council.
We agreed to, we're going to make a budget recommendation to full council, because that goes
To purchase flags.
It has to be, yeah.
Right, that's what I'm just checking, because what I don't want to do is to have an awful discussion at town council about this, which turns into one of those awful discussions. It's just a simple thing for me. We've all took a decision here to recommend that, so hopefully that will just be took through in the way I expect it to be.
There's multiple.
Yeah, right.
Depending on
Okay, we're going to move on, Ryan. We're going to move on. Youth council, representative youth council.
Yeah, the schools have gone back, so we can do some work there. Last week I spoke to Chantel, and she gave me a name of a teacher who is not only involved in the student voice within the school, but she's involved with community involvement as well. So I've got her name and email address, and so I can contact her and see how we can move that forward. But Chantel seemed quite positive.
I understand.
This teacher would be quite good.
Yeah, brilliant. So you've been obviously struggling for a day or two. So what I would suggest that perhaps for the next meeting, that I think Ryan was doing something, you and Ryan talk about something, bring something back to us at the next meeting. And we put a schedule piece on the agenda for you, because it's really unfair to put that on you today because you've been unwell.
2 weeks, not last couple of days.
Yeah, 2 weeks, yeah. I know the past 2 weeks you've been really unwell, and to ask you to recount that is really unfair. If Ryan and you talk for the next meeting, you're happy with that?
Absolutely.
And then you'll bring something back for the next meeting, which Amanda will help and the town clerk.
Me and Lisa are like Torville and Dean. We work so
well. Now we've gone from wizards to Torville and Dean now. We've gone. Yeah, we're getting there. Where we'll end up tonight, I don't know. But there's definitely a theme going here. It's very theatrical. This is the town centre event, so it should be theatrical, shouldn't it? Right. So we move to the next item, which is item 18. Event. I'm going to run through these quite quickly.
Just the first one on there, the dog show.
Yes.
I'm sure I've seen some. It is Sunday, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm sure something came out from the town council saying it was Saturday. The other day, a couple of days ago, I'm sure an email or something on Facebook said.
You worried me now
Sunday.
because I was patting dogs on Sunday.
Do you know where you saw that?
I'm pretty sure it was on Facebook, but I'm not 100% sure.
And
I was a bit,
Well,
unless it was on the email that we got on. You know, we get a weekly email.
Yeah, the fortnight email.
Fortnightly email.
Well, feels like weekly.
Margaret, thank you very
But
much for
I
that,
think
and I think you're quite right, and obviously
Right.
the team will do brilliant social media people, and Amanda, that will do something to promote that in the week. I know Lisa's going to be there. We've also just, two of our previous councillors have come in to support us, Terry and Mike. It sounds like one of them sort of 60s comedy duos.
Yeah.
In fact, Terry and Mike.
We're gonna have
Terry, they're going to come with dungarees. When they're together, it is really, they're quite a good act together.
We are good. We're a good team.
You're a good act. So Lisa keeps them in order, and I'll come down there and
Keep you in order as well.
that's it. Thank you, Lisa.
and I'll bring Snoopy.
You bring Snoopy,
Yes.
and I'll come with a waistcoat. The Lisa nearly knew. Are we?
So that one's been cancelled because there's too much pressure from other events.
Okay, right. River Rinse, you will be aware, we discussed it earlier when Nina explained in the response. What we would like is, Amanda's going to speak, what we'd like is people to get involved in it. Amanda.
Okay, with the river rinses, we don't actually go in the river. We just go along the bank. Andy, you know. We go along the bank with black bags, litter picking, and also anything that's been pulled out of the river, we will then put into the trailer. Robin works alongside Stosa Aqua Group on that day, and he has full, come under their insurance because he does go in the river with them. So if he was to drown, it would be
On there.
We won't get sued.
So basically, it's so that I'm putting the.
I've still got the obituary you asked me to write.
Have you? Don't you dare say what I said. Don't you dare.
If you decide that you are coming to help, please wear appropriate clothing. So you'll need like wellies, old clothes, because you are going to go home dirty.
Oh, yeah.
And
You do
and
provide the
smelly.
gloves, don't
And
you?
Yeah,
smelly.
we provide gloves,
Litter
the rubbish
pickers.
bags and the litter pickers.
so anybody who's available, come and do it.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to do.
Where's it starting
For the-
off in? Where's it
We're
starting off this one?
starting this time down at the cricket club and working our way up into the town centre, aren't we?
Yep.
So we'll probably, dependent on where we get to, we might finish at the weir. That really depends on the time, how much rubbish we've got,
Yeah.
how tired those tobacco are, whether they've drowned me or I've gone floating down the river and they've had to claim on the insurance. It never
So you go
happened.
from the cricket club,
Towards the town centre.
okay.
Yeah, we always work up.
So it's quite interesting because you come through some fairly interesting areas of the
Yeah,
river, and if you remember, you won't know that during lockdown we did a river rinse, which unfortunately only I was able to be involved in, and yeah, Amanda was there, but but I only as a councillor was I able to be involved in because I was in the bubble
Yeah.
of Stosa Aqua. And they need someone to take the mick out, didn't they? So,
Yeah.
so you know, I was involved in that. So we did up to that area through Borton Park. So we're just following on. And we couldn't do the second one because the river rose, if you remember. And then in 2023, after the Christmas, it decided to pop over its banks and go into the Lacehill development, not the Lacehill, Candles Court and different places. So it was awful after that. So we could never get back to it. So it's nice to be back on there. And Amanda will be there keeping order. And I'll be out the way in the river.
That's another quick question.
Yeah, go on.
Part of that river is maintained by the Shire Council.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
one year we had an awful lot of trouble because they hadn't trimmed or maintained their bush area. No jokes, everybody.
Sorry.
And then there was an issue with getting the items out of the river because they just haven't maintained it. Have our team been down there to look and check? That's fine this year.
Well, last time we did take quite a lot. I think I probably got overexcited with the saw, and I cut out a lot of trees in the river, you know, and actually I'm glad I did because it flooded thereafter. So the stuff we took out didn't stop the river flooding. So we do take with a small saw, we cut things which are manageable off and pass them out. The downside of that is we pass them out for the green spaces team to do something with, which they probably wasn't very happy with me because I put lots of stuff out on the bank. But I was quite happy chopping away with the saw.
Is there an issue this year?
I don't know. I haven't walked it, and Lee will say, and we'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
And we always manage to get round these issues,
Right.
and it'll mainly be stuff which is floated down from the town centre. It's not a big issue. Amanda.
Yeah, so that first one on the 19th of September, we'll meet at the Buckingham Athletic football ground car park, and then we go from there. So everybody stays together.
Yeah.
And then on the second one, like Councillor Stutchbury said, we hope to finish at Waitrose car park. And so for the second one, we'll start at Waitrose car park and head towards the university.
What time is the start?
Oh, sorry, 10:15 we meet, ready to start 10:30.
Latest, that's another story.
The 19th and
Yeah, the
the
Sundays.
23rd of October. Sorry, the 3rd of October.
I mean, it's very short notice for the university, Dean, but it might be something nice for students to be involved in the second one.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
Because you've got time to notify the students and maybe they'll come and help us in the second one. I think it's unfair to ask them to come this short notice, but the second one's not too far ahead. And as we're going around the university area, it's something that we could do together, blend nicely together, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We go on 18.4, Local Democracy Week. Well, Councillor Donahue leads on that, and she and that is all been started putting that together, haven't you? That'll just happen on the morning of the afternoon of the Charter Fair when it comes into Buckingham. We usually then do it in the afternoon. We'll discuss what we're going to do and who we're going to invite, not because we've not got an agenda item here. What I'm interested in is we've got a new mayor, we've got new councillors, and though I do like attending it, I wondered whether last year we extended the invitations out to widely, and
It was virtual last year,
it was
wasn't it?
virtual, and so
it's
this is it's easy to. Are you happy that we'll discuss that,
Yeah.
and Andy will add in, and then that event will just happen? It's not. We've done it so many times.
Yeah.
Lisa has a clock, and she and you'll all like to know that Lisa likes to use her clock.
He's on a 2-minute timer when that goes on. He's the only one I put it on for.
She puts the 2-minute timer. She bullies me. She basically bullies me, and I love it. It's a private joke between us. Pardon. Right, Lacehill Halloween disco. That's going ahead, isn't it?
Hang on, Sam's there.
Sam.
Oh.
Whoa, wave to Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Hello. Good timing, Sam. Were you listening to them with all that brilliant conversation? I bet you were impressed with the quality of the level of highbrow that we are.
I did listen in for some of it, yeah. Am I just on that big screen? Are you all looking at my face on that big screen, yeah?
Yeah.
You're fine. You're fine. Fire away, my girl. You tell us about the Halloween. We've got down to the Halloween. You can't do the other event, which is
They're nearly new sale. Yeah, it's just really busy. I'm really busy. So I'm planning to do. I'm still planning to do the Halloween disco at the beginning of half term before people go away. It'll just be aimed at like kids, families with young children. So we'll have a nice, pleasant DJ and just the usual kind of arts and crafts activities, and maybe like if I'm allowed to, show like a film in the committee room as well, and serve some popcorn.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Sounds good. What sort of popcorn?
Sweet, got to be sweet.
Got to be sweet popcorn. Thank you for that. Is there anything you need from us as councillors in way of support?
I'm not quite sure at the moment. I'm still planning. It's an indoor event, so it's quite a small event. So I'll have to see who's available in the office first. Normally, I'll only need about 3 members of staff for an indoor event, because we can't really fit that many people like inside. So,
but there'd certainly be space for a couple of councillors to pop in and volunteer.
Yeah.
If anybody.
Yeah. I'm keen that we support you. And if you want, just send out message.
Yes,
You've got a really friendly committee here. We'll come and help you, and then you may choose sort of on a score point which ones you prefer to come back. But we can all help you. I'm going to move to your next event, if that's okay, which is the Lacehill Winter Fair. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Same as usual, really, because it's normally a little. It's quite a good event. We pack out the hall with loads of stalls. We encourage the hirers to take a stall as well and promote the activities that they provide at the centre. So Project Street Life are normally there, and they normally have a raffle. I normally get the stall holders to donate prizes as well for that raffle. So lots of stall holders, and again, the committee room we used for crafts and games for the children. So the same as usual. I haven't really started working on that one yet, though.
You keep us informed, and as I say, with that event, if there's anything you want us to do as a committee and whatever, you come to us, and and if councillors are available, we'll support you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're here for. You know, it's a team, if you know what I mean, and we may be councillors, but we can sometimes stand and block a doorway up or block a draft. You know, we'll be there. I'd just like to say, because I know you've worked all day and you've only just come back onto special. Can I give you a special thanks for the event you did up there during the Fringe, the fun day up there, and those of us were, I know Councillor Fran Davis and I attended it together with Snoopy, and it was well received, and it was well attended, and it was a good event, and thank you very much for all the effort you put into that.
Thank you.
Go down to the Otters report as well.
Yeah, can we do the Otters report while you're here as well? Is that all right?
Yeah.
19.9. We're jumping around the agenda, but that's for your benefit. Do you want to give us an update on the Otters report, which you were heavily involved in? Otters.
Bear with me, because I've got so many screens open.
I've got two which have shut on me. Any luck?
Yeah, well, I'm scrolling down. I think it was.
You are well done. They're really frustrating technology, isn't it? Just when you think you've got it working, it all goes to pot. Then I phone Lisa up.
Point of order, I do have work.
Oh, it's totally understand, Ryan. And thank you very much for your attendance tonight. And you know.
I thought if it had to be official.
No. You slip away when you want to. Don't have to ask to go.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
See you on Wednesday, right?
Oh yeah, see you on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. So this isn't like a full report, because the trail only finished on last week, August 21st. The time frame was too short to do like a full report. So
No, of course it is.
a full report coming to the next TCNE. However, we've received like quite a few questions about what will happen to the otter sculptures after now the trail's finished. And in the original plan report, it was left undecided, but I did state suggestions about either keeping them for a future event or possibly having an auction. So the report I did was, the report I wrote was to recommend that we keep, that Buckingham Town Council keep sculpture and memento, and that we members agree to auctioning all of the other otter sculptures off, and then the funds raised we could split equally between the mayor's charities and costs of a future trail.
Yeah. Councillor Donahue.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that recommendation, because I think it's been a tough year for the mayor's charities, and I think any boost that we can give, I think, is warranted. So I'm quite happy to go with Sam's recommendation on this one.
Is that the general feeling here tonight? Yeah. Can we show our hands on that?
That's unanimous.
That's unanimous. And can I thank you from the committee for all the enthusiasm and you put into that, because I enjoyed looking at them and seeing them all together on Saturday, all looking back at me, reminding me to Ring of Bright Water, and but being boss-eyed because there's only one otter in Ring of Bright Water, but it was a really beautiful sight. Mayor and then Dean.
Yeah, thank you. The Otter Trail's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed that. So thanks to Sam for her inspiration with that. I just wondered how we'll decide which otter we will keep.
I already thought about that. Go on, go on, Sam. Which one is it you want to keep?
No, I'm happy for like us to like vote or choose, but I just wondered if there's one that we could maybe repaint and maybe do a mayor otter, and it can sit in the chamber window. Because I say that because some of the ones that have been outside are a bit weathered.
Well, can I suggest that we leave that to the officers to decide, and we auction the remainders off, and I take Dean.
I think, just speaking on behalf of the community members that you invited to participate, Sam, I'm sure others will agree as well. It was great for the university to be involved in an initiative that actually not only brought people to the campus to see what the campus has to offer from a community's perspective, but it also engaged our student union, which is something we've really struggled to do in the past, so getting a student union involved directly in a community initiative. And it was a quite simple thing in the grand scheme of things, but actually impact visually and in every other way was really good. So I just wanted to congratulate and thank you for involving us, really. It's great.
But for the auction, we need to think how we do that, whether that's online or virtual. I think we could have a lot of fun out of an auction online, in the sense that each otter can have a name, and where they would come, a little bit of detail about them, a little bit of build up to why you should purchase and bid for certain otter. And I'm sure there'll be bids from people wanting to buy their own otters back, period. But Fran.
I was going to suggest that perhaps we kept the small one and repainted it, and then because otherwise, if we keep one of the ones that's being done by other community groups, it looks a bit like favouritism in a way.
Yeah.
So all the ones that are being done by community groups, if they were all auctioned, and then the small one, which was a collaborative effort.
I think that's a sensible way forward. Town Clerk, you were signaling you wish to say something.
Yeah, the other thing I'd just comment on the overall project is that it's the first time we've successfully got in sponsorship for a long time on things. So Sam's cracked a nut, which several of us have tried and not got very far with. So it's an excellent project for a number of reasons, but I think that's one of the key reasons, that we got other sponsorship, which we then spent on marketing and improving it. So it's gone a lot better because of that money we were able to spend, and the link with business and the benefit for business. And Sam's already been asked to talk to a Buckinghamshire group about the success of the project. And I'm sure we'll be able to have other opportunities to talk about it and think about what we do next year. So for lots of reasons, it's been a real success.
Brilliant.
And I'm fascinated to see how the auction goes.
Thank you very much. Good. Dean.
Only a very small idea. It's the Buckingham Christmas Parade on the 10th of December this year. I think that's right. Whether or not they can be reintroduced with a Christmas theme, still representing all those community ones.
Tinsel.
Tinsel, yeah.
Santa hats.
Santa hats, tinsel.
And March of the Otters.
The otters, maybe, you raise a good point, actually.
There was, sorry, am I allowed to talk? It would be good if they could do some like pop-up events. I did have that as some ideas that I would have put in the report, the full report. Because we haven't agreed the dates for the auction yet, so they could be auctioned off after then. But yeah,
I think there's no rush to sell them, as long as we sell them in this mayoral year, so that the mayor can have the money to hand out. That's the important thing, isn't it? We get some value out of them.
How about showing it at some point within the twinning thing next March? It's going to be quite a big thing, isn't it?
Let's not,
Yeah,
let's not
just
tie it
thought
down.
that's
Yeah.
something
Let's say
that's
we,
going on.
let's,
I mean, including other people
Yeah,
in.
it is, it's.
yeah,
Make it
we don't,
bigger.
they won't know the significance of it. Let's agree we're going to have an auction. Let's,
I mean, there's a lot of dead airspace at the Christmas light switch on.
yeah,
Could we not do
well,
it?
let's just,
We'd have to.
let's
think
get a
about where we're
report
gonna
back
put them so
on
they're
some
safe.
suggestions
Yeah.
on practicalities, because we've got to look after them, we've got to move them, and we've got to box them up
Yeah.
and take them away. It's not like they've all got to go in their little boxes, because they're all in boxes so they don't break. So it's not like get them out then.
We're just at fancy bringing them to the Christmas light switch on. I was thinking
Yeah.
maybe we could auction them there at the same time.
Yeah, well, nothing's impossible. We've got time to plan it. Let's just get a report back on options for auction,
Yeah.
and then members can vote on it rather than try to make an event here and then have a report, I think. And if Dean's got any ideas who can actually auction them off, I was thinking the two people at that end of the table are much better at auctioning off than one of us. The trouble is, I'll break off into a conversation. We never get the auction done. No, I think if we do that, you're happy with that? Are you? Can I thank you for coming? I think I've covered all them items, haven't I? And you go and get yourself some tea now. You must be hungry.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks,
Right, I'm going to jig back through here and see what I've not done.
Charter fair.
Charter fair. Now, clearly, we will be having a charter fair. Can I just, before we get on to the charter fair, make you aware, I wandered through the town centre when we were doing Buckingham. There's very few times that you can actually safely walk through the town centre and see the town centre without vehicles. So while we were down there in the early morning, while we were setting up Buckingham, I walked around, and I have to say that the condition of our town centre is atrocious. The amount of patches where there's slabs, the amount of curbing which is damaged and not been repaired, the amount of loose stonework on the brick areas. Now the market coordinator is nodding, and he sees it. I don't, because he's always up in the morning bringing the market in. I really think that we need to write a serious letter to the cabinet member for Buckinghamshire and suggest that we receive proposals to spend additional money in the town centre tonight.
Yeah.
Would it not be more appropriate for the bounce back money to be spent on the town centre, period, repairing some of these
Maintenance. Basic maintenance.
if any bounce back money was going to be spent, it should be spent on maintaining. And the reason I photographed it all, and then realised how many photographs I've got, because I said to the town clerk today about it, I realised that I can't actually send them over in one email because they just won't go. And the other point is, Amanda, always don't you? You always photograph the fair coming in.
Yeah.
And we haven't been into the town for 2 years with the fair, and it's just terrible. And I'm really conscious that we will have to photograph it before the fair come in again and date time it. Amanda?
I was with Robin that morning when he was taking the pictures, and we both said the damage has not been done by the Charter Fair.
No.
We take pictures every single year, and I know Andy has been with us when we've done that. The damage has come from maybe delivery trucks and other vehicles that have been up there.
Yeah.
But we said, didn't we, that we will go back and have a look at some of the pictures from 2019 when the fair was last here and further back and match them up with what Robin has
Anyway,
taken.
I'll be Robert now, I don't mind.
Sorry about that.
Robin is short for
But
Robert.
we can prove that a lot of the damage hasn't been done by the Charter Fair, like people assume it has. We'll always get someone say, "Oh, the Charter Fair did that."
I think that's it. And obviously, the opening of the fair, which will be brilliant because Margaret will be able to do an opening of the Charter Fair, which is quite good fun, actually, standing up with Marshall's a charming man, and he'll guide you through it. And anyone, Andy's done it, I've done it, Lisa's done it. And the town crier does it every year. But it's quite an occasion. You're there in the town centre, and it's a big thing, and you will thoroughly enjoy it. And we will do, I think, we do the free tickets, which we hand out to people with disabilities, and we've got a list for that. And it's just be nice to get back to normal. Amanda?
Yeah, the dates shown on here are the dates that the fair is actually on. So the 16th and the 23rd is the Saturdays, but it comes in the day before. And I will send an email around to all councillors asking for help with the road closures.
So
and sort of the instructions of the do's and don'ts, because I know there's a lot of people that haven't helped bring the fair in before.
Yeah.
On the first week of it, on the Saturday, I may end up being the first time I'm never there, because I believe my son's going to have a significant birthday, and we're going to be doing a significant family do. So if I'm not there, that'd be because I haven't actually bothered to get round to asking what day we're going out for it, which doesn't surprise you, does it? I think it's on Saturday. I'm hoping it's Sunday. I should have read my correspondence, shouldn't I, from the family? Shouldn't admit that, should I? But yeah, so we'll be going out for dinner. I know Andy will be there anyway, and in the morning, it's just, if I'm not there, Andy will do what we normally do, don't we, Andy? Just do a walk through the town centre in the morning and support Amanda, just to pick up issues. Andy knows all this stuff in and out. So, and if anybody else is available, it's an interesting conversation. And if you are free on the Friday it comes in, please come and be involved. And because you'll pick up some really wonderful stories and some wonderful experience. The showmen and families are some of the most interesting people you're likely to meet, and many of them have been coming to this town for generations, and there's even people in that show who were born in Buckingham.
Well, the Saturday as well, after the Mayor's Open Fair, we do walk around and, the stall holders, and we get to have a chat with them, and I find that really interesting.
Yeah.
It's nice to have
it's a joy. Amanda?
I just want to point out too that we have got a very, very good working relationship with the showman, especially Marshall. He's the head showman, and we're sort of under his guidance as to when the fair comes in, when we close the road. We don't sort of, let's stick a barrier in the road now and then it comes. We follow their guidance, don't we?
Yeah.
And also on the Saturday, they have the tea. It's been in the Woolpack for the last 2 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And they invite the children that we've given free tickets out, and councillors and people. Yeah. And Marshall will pay for a buffet.
Yeah.
And which is from his own pocket.
Yeah.
So,
it is. Very generous man.
And when if you get down there early, you'll have a choice of food. If you don't,
and it hasn't all been touched. Get down there early and you'll know that no fingers have been all over everything.
Snotty fingers.
I could tell you.
Lisa and I know from experience.
I must admit.
And on both ends of the
but that's what it's provided. It isn't provided for us, it's provided for the families and the vulnerable people.
Right.
We shouldn't mock it, that's what it's there for. It's just that sometimes you do feel you missed out. And as I said, I do like sausage rolls, and as I was in Clay's today. But anyway, please take part in it. Please be enjoying it. And are you agreeing that we'll send an invite to all councillors to be stewards if they're available, and come out in the town centre, because the fair is Buckingham's fair, and town councillors are not on this committee can take part as stewards as easily as anybody else. So we'll send an invite to them, saying we invite them to come forward on the Friday and be involved as a steward. Yeah. And then they can see a formal invite, not a request, Kat, are you free? A formal invite, and then to try and get them involved, because many of the councillors won't know what the committee does and stuff, and we've got a new council.
Well, I'm kind of on the countdown for the fair now, because it's been Oxford, so St Giles's fair started. It was on the local news today. Didn't see Marshall, but So I'm on the countdown now.
Yeah.
It's not far away.
And it's
Giant,
brilliant.
yeah.
And it'll be glorious and nice to see the same people back here. Right, I will move on swiftly. Bonfire, Andy leads on bonfire, and I think what I would say, can we just check? You read so much stuff in the paper about the supply of stuff from fireworks and stuff. Just hope that
We're booked.
we're booked,
Yep, we're booked.
and they've
We're booked.
said they're attending. So
Yep.
that's my worry's over, because I've read so much thing about shortage of fireworks. Margaret.
Thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we did agree that we would look at ways of reducing our carbon footprint on farm. I don't know whether that's been communicated to Titanium or what we can do, because
Yes, we did. Didn't we, Paul, 2 years ago? I'll have to dig out what their reply was. But they did respond.
They did do something.
Yes.
I think they said they do what they can.
Yeah.
With like
They have to
legislation
go
and
back.
things like that. I'm pretty sure
That's
that
right.
Going with
it's,
doesn't do
they were
it.
very positive about what they do with the environment
Yeah.
and stuff. I believe that's how it went.
I mean, you raise a good point, Margaret. Let's carry on the conversation as we go. But we've come out of lockdown now, and let's have fireworks, and then and have something joyous, and people being out there, all them children don't all are when it happens. Let's enjoy that. And if you anyone who comes down to it and you go out like we do and you stand in the middle, I always stand out in the middle of it and I look back. And when the fireworks are going off, if you look back and see the rows of little faces all watching the fireworks and the different families there, it's just brilliant.
We have got time before the next meeting to at least bring that information back.
Yes.
So we can bring that for.
You're happy with that, Margaret?
Yeah.
Thank you. And Andy, if I say, leads on that.
didn't want to be a damp squib.
No,
Shall we do
no,
that?
fireworks that don't go bang are no good. I do like things that go bang. Right, we've done winter fair, Christmas, Remembrance Parade. It's because Remembrance Parade. Right, on Remembrance Parade, for new members, which is actually only Fran now, I apologise. We fund the Christmas parade.
Remembrance Day.
I was doing the Christmas parade, but yeah, okay.
Let's do the Remembrance Day parade.
I was doing that. It's just that we jiggled about so much of it. I'll be honest with you, Fran, I've lost track of it. Thank you. Remembrance Day. Well, we facilitate the assistance to it. The outdoor road closure. I think we're still doing that, aren't we? The outdoor one. And we work with them to resolve it. Can I ask the committee's agreement that you allow myself to go and meet them? Because the last year, we're getting more chairs than people now.
Yeah.
And when the mayor went up the year before last, it was a job to know where the mayor was going to stand.
Yeah.
It also was a job to know where the civic party was going to stand. And councillors arrived and we didn't know where we got to stand. And the chairs now are in the place where the town councils historically stood. And if they can get more chairs in every year, eventually the space was really quite crowded. We need to go back and look at it again. And I'll do that. And because if the conversation doesn't go well, it's my responsibility.
There is a map of where
there is, but the map was out
There is a map.
Andy,
so I signed it.
Peter Strain-Clark, Mike Smith, everybody who ever chaired this committee has provided the British Legion with a map, and every time we provide them with a map, every other year, and as soon as you get a new person take over the Remembrance Parade, everything gets changed. Amanda.
I'd like to attend that meeting with you if possible.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
then I will meet, and the town clerk will meet with Margaret afterwards to go over what the procedure is for the mayor. But I have looked back on pictures from what you're referring to.
It was
but
right.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah, well, we don't need to say anything here, but all I say is that my job as the chairman of this committee is to protect the civic party, and that is the councillors and the mayor and the Lord Lieutenant. And there's always a rush for who's going to lay the Bucks County Council wreath. In fact, I might email them and ask them if I can lay it just to be first tonight, knowing that I won't be laying it because it'll go by such and such patronage and preference. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'll also be asking for marshals for that.
Yes.
So expect another email on that. And
Yeah, because Terry never did the parade, nor Mike, because they always marshalled it.
yeah.
Andy.
And Andy.
And Andy.
Andy always marshals it. So, but it is a glorious thing to do, but we just need to sort it out. And the reason Margaret won't be involved in those discussions, because if they go wrong, then Margaret can be the good party in it, if you understand what I mean. And she's not involved in it, but we do
You
need to
only need
sort.
so many cooks, don't you?
Yeah, we need to
really?
sort it out,
Yeah.
and it's about your well-being. Is that okay? And the dates will go out. And can I ask that we've got new councillors here, we send them the options, which are to be involved in the parade as a town councillor, or to be a steward, or whichever you feel most comfortable doing. And Amanda will organise the stewards and everything. And they usually have a meeting in here, everything. So it's all done. And we've got one meeting before that, haven't we? Or anyway, so we'll bring it back with an update of where we are with that, if you're happy with that. And move on now, as I'll go back to the Christmas parade.
No light switch on.
Are we in the light switch on? I put my glasses on. Now, okay, right, we'll do the light switch on. Yeah, Margaret, you're a star. Yeah, I'm being ganged up on tonight, and good job I don't worry, isn't it? The light switch on, well, basically it's the same procedure we do every year. The mayor will be switching the lights on. We fund the lights, all but the Christmas tree, which the lights on that are funded by Buckingham Council. Can we just write to them to be assured that they're going to, I think they did last year, that they're going to carry on funding it? Because if they don't carry on funding it, we have to source a Christmas tree. And that's all they do for Buckingham, is give us a Christmas tree and some lights. And in Aylesbury, they fund all the lights. Some other communities get a Christmas tree. So, we fund the lights. Only thing I say is we need to, are you happy that we have a small team to the officers to look at the previous year's event, because it went on far too long and children were cold, and it almost turned into a pageant rather than a Christmas light switch on, and we need to hone that down to less is more, and it's about the mayor switching the lights on. It just got such a big event and children were shivering, and we shouldn't have that. Lisa.
Thank you. As I've attended the last however many on my mobility scooter, I've got a kind of different view on the view, as it were, and what I couldn't see at all at the last one that we held. I just wonder whether I could be part of the conversations, because I've got ideas of where we could seat certain people and wheelchair users and mobility scooters, and then have public standing behind that. It was a free fall.
Can I suggest then, let's not do the discussion here, we've got time to organise it.
Yeah.
Can I suggest that people volunteer for a subgroup to look at this, look at it afresh. It doesn't have to be anyone who's been involved in the event before, just to look at it, what happened last year, the evidence what it is, and then come forward with something which is smaller and more perfectly formed than it was. Because my good friend Paul Irwin, who come on there, was giving me quite a lot of jit about how long it went on, because he just enjoyed teasing me. And
I was hearing that as well.
Yeah.
So we do need to get that out right now. We've done that, Crystal. Now, ready for it? We're going to do the Christmas parade.
Yay!
I've been trying to get to the Christmas parade for ages, and now we're doing the Christmas parade. Basically, as I said, we fund the actual parade. Now, what I'm keen to do is we write to the parade committee with the committee's agreement to remind them that we fund the parade, and the town mayor will be presenting the prizes. And that is one of the conditions that we fund it, it's about the town mayor, who's our civic leader.
Yeah.
And she will present the prizes and will,
Yeah,
and it's her job. I'd say that, and I'll say not why, but that's what will happen, the town mayor, and we write
Not
to
for
them.
them to choose whether.
It's not for them to
Yeah.
choose who
Yeah.
presents the prizes out. Our civic leader and Buckingham civic person is our mayor.
Yeah.
That's
And,
exactly, yeah. Right.
And that's what we'll write to them. Is that agreement?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We'll also write to them and tell them what the budget is, and we'll also inform them the road closures in place. And because it's 2 years ago since we had the last one, Amanda may have to go back to her notes of 2 years ago. She always takes notes of things that occur, and officers do. Just can we go back and look at those notes? And if there's some negatives that we need to iron out, can we bring them back forward? Usually they're not negatives, they're little things that happen. Niggles.
I've got 3.
Yeah. I knew you would have. No, I'm not negative.
No, you're
but
a niggle.
I'm a niggle. Now, pack it in, you're bullying me. I ain't got a chart here, have I? I've not got a chart. No charts at all. Carry on.
And Fran,
I'm Fran.
I'll also go out for marshals for this one as well. And this is the biggest event that we do for road closures. We close off basically the whole of Buckingham town centre, Chandos Road, School Lane, Western Lane, you name it, we close it. And we look for 36 marshals, and that's made up of people from the Rotary, different organisations like that Howard will find for us, plus town council employees, as many councillors as we can get. So that'd be another email from me.
Yeah. Can I, with the committee's agreement, I'd like to make a suggestion that we send a press release out saying that we will be funding the Christmas parade this year, and it's going ahead, and we're looking forward to supporting the parade committee. The reason I say that is because it's a large part of our budget. It's a huge benefit to the community, and I'm not 100% sure that they realise that we actually fund it. I think they actually think the gentleman who goes in the paper and announces it, and those organisations fund it. I think we need to do that press release. Happy to have it done as sympathetically and as empathetically as possible. I think we do need to actually say that. That can go out any day now, because what you'll get is an announcement from the parade committee doing that, and also we can use that as a springboard to getting marshals. So that out of that positive statement, we're looking for marshals. I think people, after their volunteers and that, will want to come forward to make this year a success for Christmas. I'm not decrying the works of the parade committee in that, but we do fund it, and it is public money, and we should be seen to be recognised. And I think that's drifted away a little bit. Are we happy to do that? Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Show of hands. Thank you.
I'm a bit uncertain about the timing of it. I think we need to
Yeah, the
do it.
timing, Margaret, you're absolutely right. I'm just saying we agreed to do it.
Yeah.
The timing of it,
We'll sit down with you.
we'll sit down with you.
Okay.
But, we'll do that together. But you can see my point. Dean.
Just raise one question about marshals and volunteers. The university just introduced a new scheme, an initiative to encourage students to volunteer alongside their studies.
Yeah.
And all of the activities they participate in throughout their 2 years with us contribute towards like a scoring system where they get gold, silver or bronze, and that can then lead to a community award. And if I've got a sort of a menu of options where students could be useful, and we can't guarantee that they're going to sign up for one or the other, but if they've got it, then they know that it would lead to something at the end which goes towards their sort of career or e-portfolio. That'd be
Any event. Any event.
I'll send you all the information on the ones I need marshals and that.
Brooke, who I think you met, he coordinates that initiative.
Yeah.
So he's just building a menu of opportunities for students, and it might prompt a handful of people to put themselves, or if not more.
Yeah, because some events it will just be litter picking.
More the merrier.
Yeah, good.
We want to see people out. Are you happy with that? And then we've got a little bit of time, we'll bring it back
We
again.
haven't got much time left this evening.
I know that, I'm looking at that, we haven't got enough time. Lisa?
I don't know if you remember, but I raised this when we weren't getting recognition for play around the parishes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was something that was created, like a banner or something that had funded by Buckingham Town Council. Could we use
Yeah,
that?
well, let's bring
for the
that back to
Christmas
the next
parade?
committee, taking note what Margaret quite rightly said.
That's
But
not a banner.
It was a
it's
yes or a no, really.
well, yes, we'll go and look at it, bring it back, because I'm not sure we have got anything funded by Buckingham Town Council.
No.
Can we bring that back to a next
We
committee?
have got a logo. now,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
we could use on the banner.
Yeah, we've got our new banners, which so
Oh, okay.
let's bring that back to the next committee. Community fair, those who know it takes place in the community on the same day as the Christmas parade. Afterwards. We need to do some careful promotion around that. Now, am I right in saying that Terry's going to come and help us?
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
said, so he said.
So he said, but today I might be helping Howard and marshalling.
Oh, so Howard's basically pinched our Christopher. Right.
I think Terry's point is he's never really seen the parade.
Well, he's actually a fair point.
Yeah, and he's a member of the public now. Not
Well,
with
it's a
us.
fair point.
Yeah,
A fair point, actually, and he probably can stand with a good lady wife out there and actually enjoy it for once. Fair point.
Yeah.
The barrier.
No,
Not Christmas parade.
no Christmas parade. Terry's
He's always
down.
in the
Never
community.
done
I
it.
remember
Yeah.
this day, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he
on the-
does.
He's always on the back of
Charter
the
fair.
record, yeah.
He just
Yeah.
remember until he goes back there and gets it ready.
Yeah.
And he's always done that. No, good point. We'll bring that back to the next meeting,
Yeah.
update on that.
yeah.
Fringe report quickly. You've got the report here. Can I just say,
Noted.
noted, but can we record our thanks to every member of staff who took part in the
Yeah.
Fringe? Because it was part of our unwind out of lockdown.
Yeah.
And I think that we were not able to, at some events, be more wider make. We took the decisions about how many we could have. I think in a future year, we can have more people. Margaret?
Thank you. Just a point of accuracy. I was volunteering at the event later on. I did need to pick it later on
Which one?
Saturday, but the music not in the market.
You did.
Okay, yeah.
You were in the actual newspaper article on it, Margaret. Yes,
Okay.
you were mentioned in the article in the newspaper. So was everyone who picked litter up. They were all mentioned in it.
The online quiz that Mikey Dyson ran,
Yeah,
I was talking to him at, it was Bandjam. Yeah, Bandjam. And he said that people now recognise his brother
Yeah,
through
which is
Yeah.
his online quiz because his brother helps him. So
yeah.
he said, thanks a lot.
Well, he's a nice man. Can we
Yeah,
can we agree? Can we send a letter from the council thanking everyone who was involved in the Fringe, all the organisations? You happy to sign them, Margaret?
Yeah. No, I think it was really good.
You know, that way we don't miss anyone. And obviously, play around the parishes. I think the family fun day we've done, play around the parishes went off very well from what I see.
yeah.
I think we did get more promotion out there this time. Going back to what Councillor Donahue said about people knowing we actually fund it, I think we did better this year because other years it's always seemed like the other council funded
It's
it.
been a battle that
A battle that you've had for years to make sure
Yeah.
that we actually get recognition.
Yeah.
I think because of our social media team doing work, I think
Yeah.
people now know that we actually fund it, so
Yeah,
we're
good.
getting there. Basketball sessions.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
That went really well. I popped down and spoke to Coach Jenner at one of the sessions, and he will have some figures for us because it only finished on the 30th. So I haven't got a report for that one. Got my foot done.
And I know Katie took the Monday Youth Club members for about 3 or 4 weeks. She went to Borton Park one and then down to Chandos Park, and they all did Domino's pizzas and she was really pleased with how all that went. So it's supported by the youth club as well by taking people down there, and all of the young people really enjoyed themselves.
Good. And for those of you that don't know, we've been doing the basketball sessions for, I think it's 7 years now. And it didn't start off as one of our events. It came from the Buckingham Activities Group.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the first one, came from that.
Yeah.
But over the years, they have had some kids that have gone from the 8 to 12-year-old sessions through the teenage sessions, and some have gone on to play for teams in Milton Keynes, and there was 1 or 2 that have gone on to play national.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and it's really pleased us, and the sessions are all free. The kids just turn up and play, leave when they want.
Yeah, really good.
But yeah, it's one of the best things we've done, I think.
Yeah.
Outdoor theatre, which is there but not on my paper copy, which is weird.
I haven't got that either.
Where's that?
Outdoor theatre's on the online copy, but it's not on this one.
Oh, I've got the online copy.
Well, I've got one here.
Next one, it says business raffle after basketball session.
Anyway, well, just to say the outdoor theatre was an absolute success. People attended it. We had a glorious time there. It's on agenda, isn't it?
I have seen it somewhere.
It's on this agenda, the online one.
It's incorporated within the town centre.
It's just that I've got several bits.
Yeah, that was a
Don't worry,
fringe
I've got
event.
lots of different papers open here.
It was a fringe event, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
So-
It's not on the fringe
No,
paper. Yeah.
but there was a recommendation that we do outdoor theatre again, which we're happy to agree.
We've got money there for it.
Well, I think the recommendation is we'd have more places at it next time, so it would more than pay for itself.
Yeah,
It would
Yeah.
take staff time, but it would be.
but it was such a success.
If you think it's
Budget
doable,
budget
Oh,
wise.
yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for the,
Yeah,
before
because-
getting into, so for the next meeting in October, we're gonna hopefully give you a plan for next year,
Okay.
and we'll have worked out starting before we get to that, so.
Alright.
We'll get to that.
It's all been talked about.
I sat through both performances and it was good both times round.
Excellent.
What I will,
Was it different?
No.
what I will say about it is that if you've been privileged enough to be up there and you watch the children actually sit there, still watching an event, because actually not getting up and actually watching it and doing all the bits in the right place. That's how good it was. They didn't want to get up and go walking about. They all sat there looking at it.
Really good.
And whether it cost us money or not is irrelevant.
Yeah.
It was to boost the community.
Introducing children to live theatre.
To live theatre, a good investment,
Absolutely.
and I propose that we do it next year. Is that agreed?
Absolutely.
Right, thank you. Can we show of hands on that? Right, that's agreed. They would have to worry about, that I've agreed with doing it next year now.
And they were a very good group.
They were.
Yes, they were.
And Margaret was excellent. You were excellent what you said. It was so sort of niche and appropriate, and you said to them about that be very careful because there's apparently there's lots of rabbits loose running around here and lots of rabbit holes or something, didn't you? You actually featured part of the story of what you said. It was a glorious day. Right, basketball session, business raffle.
That's not me.
That's not you. Who's doing business
Town
raffle?
centre manager.
So that's from Emma. So just to confirm that this is what we were going to do last Christmas, and it had to be delayed. So the business raffle did run in the summer.
Yeah.
It was successful, certainly worth doing again. It actually doesn't cost very much. So grand scheme of things, it's not a big cost, it's not a big effort once it's out there.
So are we happy that we'll just leave that to the officers to sort?
We'll come up with a different proposal for Christmas and bring that back.
Yeah, just sort something out, bring it back to us, and then members can comment on it and agree it.
Yeah.
We move on now to music knocking in the market. There's a report.
So this is correspondence from the Rugby Club.
Correspondence, right, okay. That isn't coming up on here. Correspondence, the Rugby Club.
It's just,
Yeah, go on.
so they've written to us saying they really enjoyed having us and they'd like to do something again next year. And when we arranged this, they said this is a one-off because they couldn't run a beer festival this year. So actually running it made them think differently. So that's really good. And it was a really good event in lots of ways, a really good venue, got social people who could manage it much better. There were families there all afternoon. I wasn't even there, and I think so we've had lots of good feedback, and they really want to do something again. So I suggest we reply back and say, in principle, yes, we'd love to do something, but let's talk about dates and the discussion for the next meeting once we've had a bit more to think about what options would be. Do we do music in the market there? Do we do banjo
No, you
there?
cannot.
Do we do how? But so
I had this discussion with the deputy town clerk. You do not, with organisations, suggest you move an event that they've planned for 20 years somewhere else. I said this to the deputy town clerk. You've got a personal agreement with an organisation. You do not conveniently, for a previous conversation with a third organisation, move that organisation. I'm sorry, we don't behave like that. It's taken 20 years of discussion with these people to have a working relationship. You do not, a siren say, make a discussion with a third party about another organisation moving. That is not how we do business. I'm sorry, I will not allow that, and I propose that we bring it back to the next meeting with a report to do with both events. Now, the issue is that you can't then have an event and choose which organisation you have come to it, because at the Saturday and the last weekend we had band jam in the town centre, and Amanda hasn't had a chance to do the full download on that, and it was an absolute success.
Yeah.
So both events were an absolute success. What we can't do is just suddenly say, all right, well, you can go up there because somebody else wants you there and you can go there. I'm sorry, that's not how we do business.
We support them.
We
don't
support the
run
organisations.
them.
And it took 20 years to get to where we are, and we don't unpick that sort of relationship. I know other people have got different ideas, but
I agree.
you know, if we do anything, it's with consensus of the organisations. We don't dictate because it will fall
I mean,
apart.
maybe it could be something additional that happens
Yeah.
at the rugby club.
Yeah, but we haven't got a
But I
budget.
agree. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's for us.
You
to
know,
kind of-
I was at both events. The rugby club, to be fair, were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
but
you love the rugby club, so it's not that. It's
I've
just-
put a lot of my previous income before I was married behind the bar.
Yeah.
So I have got an investment in the place, but I do think we have to do that. Now, I think we need to go back and we need to talk about the successes of both events. We need to compare, do the analysis of what was best, what worked, what didn't work. Now, to then turn around to say to the people who were up there doing that event that we're now going to, because it worked so well, we're now going to suggest the people who worked so well in the town centre go there on the basis of somebody's opinion. Sorry, that's not how we do business. We talk to people in a proper adult, and now if the evidence points to that to us, we have a conversation with them about it. But it has to be their decision.
At the rugby club.
Well, we haven't got a budget for it.
No, but
We haven't
it
got.
wasn't cheap.
It wasn't cheap.
My whole point was that we discuss it at the next meeting. That's all I was leading up to saying.
Yeah.
Put a report into the next meeting. We don't need to discuss it now because we haven't got to that point.
No, but I'm just laying down how I see it.
I think that Julian Cook's letter is it's basically saying thank you for coming to us, and we really enjoyed it, and we'd really love to work with you on something in the future.
Exactly.
How that pans
the
out
other thing is there was I apologise, there was another
They must have. I spent 4.5 hours behind the bar, so I know that they took a significant amount of money. There was a lot of beer sold throughout the day. Rugby club, so that must have been a really good boost to their finances. And from that perspective, they need to do that. They need money coming in order to support the teams that they've got playing and all the young people that are taking up rugby specifically. So I do think we do need to have thoughts about things, I do agree with Robin that we can't just say we're going to move this up there and
no, we do. Anything you do has to be with consensus. The thing was with the music not in the market event up there. The thing that was wonderful, which Paul as it is that it gave us some opportunities to do things we hadn't done before. That there was the children being able to crawl around on the floor. Being able to go off out and play football and go and use rugby. They were playing all sorts.
Korfball as well.
They were doing lots of different things round the event,
and
it was more of a festival thing.
Like that,
I think what the rugby club would like is some louder, funkier music at the end of it. Now that isn't moving one event to another. That's about a discussion with the organisations of the event. If we decide with their agreement to go up there about would they consider changing the headline. Now, that's a question that we'll talk about at the next meeting when we're going to discuss. We've had a conversation about these things, we won't do it tonight, about budgets. You may not be aware that over the time we've been doing Band Jam, Andy definitely has probably watched the budgets, is that we've had more expenditure come in on things that we have to do, from security and things that we have to do, which is taken away from the key budget, which is the bands. Now, one of the part of the conversation we can have is that if we do manage to get a better budget for it, we can then allow them to be able to use that to perhaps get that headline band, which is what I think they wanted to do there. And if that's how we go, but I think it's not for us to make a decision tonight, as Paul rightly said. Just I've got some very strong views about these things, having inherited one event and started the other.
I think it's, they're looking for a collaborative
and they were
rather
excellent.
than anything else, aren't they?
I was the last person to leave, and up there I was enjoying chatting to them, and I didn't drink a drop all day. Amanda?
Didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I just want to say that I was really proud of our team, because we went up there and we did what we said we were going to do. And I know the next morning when Andy, Robin and myself went up there to finish litter picking, there wasn't really anything there, was there? And Julian said he had been watching us and couldn't believe how quick we packed up at the end of the night. He said if it had been them, they would have still been there at 2 a.m. doing
That's
it.
because they were all drunk already.
Yeah, we're with one hand trying to do the.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, it's not like that at all.
Well, we've got such a good team, and this included our Green Spaces team. I think they need to be thanked for all the work that they've done since.
Yeah. I was meaning the rugby staff, not our team.
Yeah.
Oh, But we litter picked, we cleared up all the barriers and everything, and we did it within our normal hour.
I mean, that is a very good thing. You have to watch, and our staff are so good that they come in on the weekend and they do stuff in the day, and all of them get involved. And they came in and we were cleared out of there.
Next business.
No, I won't allow it. So anyway, we do that. So anyway, we'll bring that back to the next agenda. We've done that. Right, Buckingham in Bloom.
Okay, Buckingham in Bloom, the mayor and was it 2 or 3 other councillors went round and judged the entries that we'd got, and we just need to award the prizes to them now.
Right. Okay, celebrate Buckingham event. Well, Margaret was a star, and to be brief, as members happy, there's going to be some press release on it, isn't there?
Yeah, there'll be a press, Hannah's been in touch with me today about it, so there'll be a press release this week, and we will do a full report for the next meeting.
Yeah.
So obviously not time to write.
Clearly, Margaret will be involved in you're going to do something with the press release, Margaret. It's about you.
Yes, we'll ask you for a quote tomorrow.
Please.
Yeah, and I've asked you for a quote.
I'm going to give you a quote, okay. But I think it was brilliant.
Thanks for everybody.
It was
a good event. It went on all day.
Yeah, and I think we'll bring back a further report on that at another meeting. Budgets, can we note them tonight, because we're going to discuss them now we've done press releases, the ones we've agreed. Can I just say, can we do a press release from the committee with all of us being involved in it, thanking our staff and our town council staff for what they've done out of lockdown, getting this town up and running, getting all these events doing, town clerk and everybody, and the town crier. What they've done is they've gone from nothing to actually get our community working. So can I have a quote from a few words from every member of the committee, and even Ryan, who's not here, about how important we see it. And the mayor will put a quote from her point of view as the mayor of Buckingham, how important it is to the town. And I want to do a proper joint press release. And can you add some words, Dean, as a co-opted member? I want it to be this is us saying thank you to them, because quite frankly, when you watch what they've done and how much work they've done since coming out of lockdown, shifting from doing, it was online events, and then going like that, straight into doing events, and the hours they've put in, Green Spaces team and everybody, and what we've done for some, we haven't finished yet. I think it's important we say thank you as councillors, and we'll also send a recommendation from the committee to the full council to note the efforts that the staff have done throughout the summer getting the events going. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
You know, so that they're involved in, because I think it's just beyond a joke not to thank them when you see what they do. You know, right, that's the press release. Chairman's item, just to say that if you're free on the 10th, I think it's the 10th, on Saturday the 10th, my mother's got a
Saturday's the 11th.
Saturday the 11th, thank you again. Saturday the 11th, if you're free, any members of the committee, please go along and support my mother. She's done lots and lots of sewing and work and dress work and quilting, and she's got an event in Tindrit. And if you can bring your family and friends along and purchase something, Tindrit Village Hall, if you could just go.
What time does it start?
Oh, it's in the advertiser.
Can you send an email round?
I will send an email round, but I'm just asking you because more people through the door. She's put so much work in it. I'm sewing stuff throughout lockdown, and it's all going to the NHS and stuff. So if you can, as a committee, support her. I was suggested by one of the councillors today. I send it to all Buckinghamshire councillors, and actually I don't think that they're likely to come. I think you're more likely to come to her event, and she knows you're anyway. So
Has she invited her MP?
no, no, she hasn't invited the MP. No, she hasn't. Behave. Behave.
Have we done? Can I stop streaming?